Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Creative Tavern. Happy Wednesday. Today is July 13th, 2022. My name is Christopher Lee. I am a concept artist. I worked in the video game or I worked in the entertainment industry for about 10 years. I worked with various companies such as Walt Disney Imagineering and Universal Studio Creative. And I'm here today with my friend and buddy, Michael Welker. Say hello, Michael.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael L. Wilker. I am a novice Unity developer, a writer, and former theme park producer, where I worked with Chris at various companies, including Walt Disney Imagineering and Universal Creative. And very recently, Chris and I found ourselves between big theme park projects and said, like, hey, why don't we do a personal project together, me and you? And it took us a while to figure out exactly what we wanted to do, but we eventually settled on, hey, let's learn how to make a video game. Neither of us have done that before, but it sounds interesting. Let's give it a shot. Not only that, let's give the rest of the world a window into our creative design process. Let's let people see us making this thing in real time twice a week when we meet to have our design sessions, because I think that would be really helpful for people. And that is kind of how we eventually created the Creative Tavern. And I'll hand it back to Chris to tell you more about what it's all about.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. And the Creative Tavern is a platform, it's a space, it's a sanctuary. It's all the above for you, for all the creative people out there who draws, who sings, who writes stories, who does anything at all that is creative. If you have anything to share, we welcome it. We are here to support one another, and we have a Discord. If you're interested, you're more than welcome to join us. And because today is Wednesday, today is Michael's turn to share all the amazing progress that he's done. And he's been like teasing me and teasing the chat last Sunday, and he's like, "Oh, I have so much cool stuff to show us." And I'm like, I don't even know what it is, so I will be finding out along with you guys. So this is awesome.
Maybe that's why I'm so nervous. It's because I hyped everything up. I'm like, oh man, it's gonna blow you away. And
Yeah,
now I'm
yeah,
like
yeah.
opening things and oh, it broke. Oh no, I gotta fix it real quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
No, no, no. Again, and that's part of the design process. It's like, and I told Michael earlier before the stream, it's like, hey, if it breaks, it breaks. It's, shit happens, right? I mean, and it's, I know this is a show kind of deal, but overall, it's still just a meeting between me and Michael, and but we wanted to open it up to you guys as well. So if things go wrong, then it goes wrong. If our stream disconnects, well, shit, it disconnects. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right
yeah,
back.
we'll be
Yeah,
right back.
we'll be right
Um,
back.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of the shtick for what we want to do is we don't want to sugarcoat the creative process. We want to give you an authentic look at that sometimes, it's a real mess and
Yeah.
things break down and fall apart and you have to like pick up the pieces. And it can be really discouraging and frustrating, and
Yes.
anxiety inducing. But
Yes.
that's the process.
Yes.
It's what you're
Absolutely.
signing up for if you want to be a creative professional.
Yeah, yeah. And it's always good to have people such as Captain Blue Blue. Creating this platform, or not this platform, this channel has allowed Michael and I to meet people such as Captain Blue Blue and Gentleman Heavy and all the other amazing viewers we have here, giving us advice and tips on how to, do this thing that we never really done before. And yeah, so we're very happy to have you here. Yes.
Yeah,
My
definitely.
yeah. So, Michael, are you ready to share your screen? And whenever you are,
Yeah,
I will change
sure.
the format thingy.
And Captain Blue Blue says, I expect the game to be ready now as a surprise. Well, boy, are you in for a treat.
Oh.
It's available now on the App
Oh.
Store. No,
Ah!
we did
That,
a stealth release.
yeah. Oh, holy cow.
Okay, so first, we'll do a little recap, though I am going to try to be a little bit quick about this because I spent I went really long last time, and I want to try to be a little bit more brief this time. And a couple of things in the scenes from last time broke in a couple of weird ways, and so I tried to like do my best to clean up the bugs just before the camera started rolling. Um, but there's a couple of things that are still broken in the old scenes that I need to go back and fix because the new code that I wrote for this week inadvertently detached some things, and yeah, it's a little bit of a mess. But basically, where we were last time, I had added in a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of like little things, and one of which was like shooting the drones. You get the little health bar thing that appears there. I got my buddies are kind of like flying in the way here. So that was kind of a like one of the big updates that you could see like in this particular scene in scene one here, or scene one.
Mm.
So there was that. There was let me jump out of here and go into scene 4. One of the other big ones there too was Chris had done an awesome job of creating all these sort of like Lego pieces for scene 4 to create a sort of tunnel system. So I had imported those and built a couple of rail systems like this one you can see in the top here. This guy was to test the different sizes of the rail system, which actually I could just show you that. If I do this, click here, this one, click play. So basically, we did some some experimentation with different sizes of the tunnel. So the one that's right here is what we call like the ×3. The next one that we just went into is like ×5, which is basically the imported model that I got from Chris. I just scaled it up to 3 times the size or 5 times the size, and in the next area, it's 10 times the size. And did that to kind of like get a feel for like, oh, okay, what does it feel like moving through these spaces? How does it feel in terms of speed? How does it feel in terms of like one of the things you could see is the drones here. You can see that these two guys in the ×3 are a little bit squished, but when they get into the ×5, like, okay, that looks a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we get them into the ×10, like, okay, they've got plenty of room in here. We can probably even get a couple more drones in there, and they wouldn't be crowding each other out of the way. So there were some experiments done there to kind of like figure out what was going on and what we liked. We kind of settled on the ×5. We thought that was a pretty good middle ground, but we're definitely open to using varying sizes depending on what we want to do in the scene. And then
Yeah.
from there, or sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Then from there, I basically started to create a sort of like draft sandbox level for scene 4, where I wanted to try a bunch of different things. But because I spent so much time building a bunch of like system stuff, I didn't quite get around to that. But in this first part, you can see we've kind of got like this kind of curving tunnel here, and then there's a section here where like that flashing yellow thing is like, oh, it's an obstacle. You gotta like, fly the plane down to get out of the way. And then if we go forward a little bit here, let me blow that drone up. You can see there's another one, but if I shoot it enough, then actually I can blow it up.
Nice.
So I can either dodge these things or shoot them. So like this one, I'll just dodge it. Granted, what we have right now, these are just placeholders. I just put in a cube in there and then gave it the same script that allows me to shoot it that I can use to shoot the drones. So I just did that. Same thing with this like door up here. It's an idea like, oh no, there's a door that's blocking the way, and now I can get through here. Like, ooh, cool. All's quiet. And then we kind of come around the corner, like, oh no, there's an ambush. Like, there's all these drones in the hallway here. So then I can shoot all these guys. And you'll notice that the drone health bar is like perpendicular to the drones right
Oh,
there.
right. Yeah.
That's one of the things that randomly broke, and I
Oh,
don't know
no.
why. So
Oh,
I've got to
geez.
go debug that. But yeah, then we come into this big room here, and you can see there's a whole like this is like the hornet's nest room where there are all these drones flying in from the tunnels on the sides, and there's a bunch in the middle, hopefully to create this sort of like frenetic chaos moment for the player. We're like, oh no, they're just overwhelming me.
Yeah.
But that is about as far as I got with the scene 4 sort of like draft prototype. My plan is still to go back into scene 4 and do some more work in terms of like I had created this sort of brainstorm of ideas for scene 4, and that where I wanted to try some of these things. I'd say I had maybe about a dozen or so ideas, and this what you're seeing on screen right now really is only like maybe 2 or 3 of those ideas. So I'm going to go back and do the other ones. But my priority last week was to get some of these other functions working. So that's what I spent most of my time working on last time.
Nice.
And yeah, does that seem like a pretty good recap, Chris? Is there any major
That's
thing that I missed?
no,
Or
that's a great recap, man. I
Okay,
don't think you missed a beat. Great, good job.
excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what I've done for this week, let's jump into, I think I want to go into scene 3 construct. Yeah, we don't need to save. So, Chris had basically done a bunch of work previously with scene 3 with the giant asteroid planet and finding a way to like scale it down and still get it to work because one of the problems that we had historically was that the planet was so big. And by the way, let me get this on screen for you so you can see. Basically, it's this giant asteroid thing where we want the ship to be flying uh, kind of close to the surface, going through canyons and ravines and flying over the entire surface of this asteroid planet sort of a thing. But it was so huge that in order for the player to feel like they were moving very fast, we had to go so fast that the plane was actually outrunning the bullets that it was shooting. So
Yeah.
it's like, ooh, that's a big problem. So that was the beginning of the technical challenges for scene 3. We're going to get into a whole bunch more today in a little bit.
Mm, mm.
Um, but Chris and I were kind of banging our heads against this problem, trying to figure out like what do we do? Maybe we just scrap this idea completely, which neither of us were really excited about because we really liked the idea. We thought it was really cool. And we had a conversation on Overwatch where I had basically said like, yeah, I think we might be able to just scale like keep the idea, but scale it down in such a way that the plane isn't so tiny compared to the big plane. Because really, it was like, if you can imagine a giant sphere like the size of a house, and the ship was the size of a little mosquito next to it.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
microscopic.
Yeah.
Um, and so Chris went away and played around with that and was able to like, hey, I got it. I scaled it down and it totally works. And here we go. And so it that was awesome. Chris exported the new scale to me, which now if I click here, I can show you that little dot down there. Ignore the camera frustum. Um, but that little dot right there, that is the new planet size. So you can see
Yeah.
just
So
how much
tiny.
smaller it is compared to its big brother.
I love it.
Um, yeah, so that was successful. I got that imported. I also have like what you're seeing in orange there. That's the rail system
Oh,
from that Chris had exported for me. So I got all that put in here. And then I basically started creating the new rail system, or like using that as the guide, but using our in
uh-huh.
Unity rail system engine, which is this like Cinemachine rail, to map out the plane path. And so I did that, and then if I hit play, what we should see is um, the new scale
Oh,
with,
cool.
yeah, uh,
Oh, sweet. Oh, it's
and you can
working.
see, yep, and we are traveling at a very like typical speed. I've got it set to 25. Sorry,
Oh,
the
great.
rail's a little bit short here, and that's part of the technical stuff we're going to get into. But as you can see, we're traveling at the normal speed. The bullet, the
Perfect.
like laser bolts look perfect. It
Good.
feels like you are moving pretty quick through this like little canyon area. This does not feel slow. So that completely solved those problems, which is great.
Nice. Nice. Nice,
Um,
nice, nice.
it ends up though being like several more huge technical hurdles to
Oh, jeez.
overcome
Oh,
in
jeez.
scene 3. Scene 3 is going to end up being, I think, the scene for the game. Here, I'll just play this again while I'm gabbing. It's going to end up being the scene that's like not going to appear to be that like it's going to, I think, feel in terms of its like grandeur and action to be pretty similar to the other scenes. Like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like the one where you were like flying around the asteroid, that's awesome. And so is the
Hmm.
one where you go inside the big thing with the boss. Like, oh, that's so cool. I, I maybe it's going to be like the coolest part. I don't know, but I know it's already far and away the most technically challenging. Like,
Hmm.
if we
Hmm.
can get it to work, it will be the most difficult scene in the entire game. Um, because one of the big challenges here is you'll notice that I was able to map the rail out here all the way up until about the point where it's supposed to start to like wrap around the bottom. Because if we bring in the other rail here, you can see following this line, it starts to kind of come and go on the underside of the asteroid.
Hmm.
But the Cinemachine rail system really doesn't like going upside down. It starts to do these really weird things, which I can probably better display by switching to this other rail. So this rail over here, whoops. This rail, my plan for it was to do one simple thing, and that was to have it go around the planet, right? But one of the things that you'll notice, if I click here and focus in on this particular node, so this is node number 3, and you can see that rail looks pretty good. Like it looks totally fine. It's kind of coming down here. It's straight. It's not doing anything weird. But if I grab this rail and start to push it backwards to where now it's going to start to like invert,
yeah.
you can see that the rail is now starting to twist, and I'm not doing that. Like there's a way to do that. If I go over here into my inspector, which you can see that above the picture
Yes.
of me, right?
Yep.
Like my okay,
Yep.
great.
Yeah.
If I go in here, I can adjust this rail, or sorry, this roll function, and you can see on screen I can actually twist the rail. I can get it to do a roll, so I can program that in. But even if I have that set to 0, and I'm not rolling this, all I'm doing is I'm just moving this on the x-axis only. As soon as I start to push it back to the point where it inverts with the previous node, it does this weird roll thing where it starts to like twist around.
Oh.
I don't know
Weird.
why it does that. My best guess is that the programmers who created the really amazing Cinemachine rail system, like this thing completely saved my bacon in terms of allowing me to like actually program in the rail system that we use. So it's fantastic, and I'm not knocking it, but it definitely has this weird behavior that makes it basically impossible to do scene 3 as is, because it doesn't like to flip around to the other side. And so one of the things that I did was like I created this rail lab, which do I need to save? I don't need to save. And in here, I think this was the previous planet. This was the like old full size version. But I'd kind of done the same thing where I created this rail where I was like, okay, I'm just going to go in like an isometric view at this angle and just like perfectly create this circular rail around the planet, and then see if that fixes it. Maybe there was something that I was doing that was causing it to do that. And so same thing happens here. You can see that the rail looks fine here, but as soon as you get down to here, there it is. There's that little twist.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't do that. And you can see here that the roll is set to 0 for the entire rail.
Yeah.
But it twists there, and then on the other side,
Does it twist
it twists back.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time playing around with this, trying to figure out why does it do that? Can I make it not do that? Can I break the rail up into multiple pieces and get it to not do that? And the answer is, as far as I can tell, no. It just does that. As soon as you invert that rail, it does everything it can to try and flip around so that way it's right side up. Does not want to be upside down.
Upside down, yeah.
So that presents a significant technical challenge. I either have to like create a new rail system, which I don't want to do because I actually went in and looked at the code for the Cinemachine rail system, which actually, if I click here and go to edit the script, and then let me switch over so you guys can see this. This is the code for the Cinemachine smooth rail system. It's
Dear Lord.
more 250 lines of code, and a whole bunch of it is stuff that I have no idea what it means or what it does. It's way too advanced for me to go in here and adjust this. Though I did take a look. I did poke around in here to try to figure out, like, can I find the thing in here that's doing that and tell it to stop doing that? But I was like, nope, that's way too advanced for me. I'm not going to be able to do that. So then the other possibilities were, okay, what if we, just don't do that? Like, we just cut the idea of of being able to fly around the planet, and just find a way to like maybe cheat it. Like maybe you can just we'll just fly around the top half of the sphere,
Sure.
and maybe that'll work. The other possibility, the one that I wanted to explore more, was like, okay, what if we do some like theme park magic here? Taking some ideas from the theme park industry, the way we can kind of like use optical illusions. And I had like the Indiana Jones ride in my brain a bunch, thinking of that like final scene. So for anybody who hasn't ridden Indiana Jones ride, it's really cool, and I highly recommend it. It's like one of the best rides I think Imagineering has ever made.
Mm.
But there's a scene at the end of that ride where, in classic Indiana Jones fashion, there's a giant boulder rolling towards you. And it's rolling towards the front of the car. And it feels like the boulder's rolling towards you, and you're in the Jeep, and you're in reverse, backing up away from the boulder as fast as you can. But the boulder catches up to you. There's a big like crash. You fall down into like the next level, and then the lights come back on, and you can see like this big boulder that has crashed in the wall. And Indy is standing there like, whew, wiping his brow, like that was a close one. And then your Jeep drives off to the load unload area. The way that effect is achieved is it's basically the Jeep here. Actually, let me make myself a little bit bigger here while I'm talking about this. You've got the Jeep is here. There's basically three elements that make this effect work. You've got the Jeep here, you've got the boulder here. The boulder stays in place and the Jeep stays in place. And the third element is the only thing that moves, and that's the walls. So the boulder is like in place and it's just rolling. And the Jeep is like doing this sort of a thing. It's bobbing up and down, but it's not moving forward and backwards on the track at all. The only thing that's moving is the walls are moving alongside of the Jeep, which makes it feel like you and the boulder are moving, but you're actually the two things that aren't moving at all. It's a
Right.
really like, and you don't notice it when you're on it. It just feels like, oh, we're
Mhm.
backing up, like this is crazy. So I was thinking about that a lot and was trying to figure out like, okay, well, how can we use that in this game? Like maybe there's some like trick that we can do there. Like, what if we just rotate the planet, and so that way the rail system is always on top, like it never inverts. When we go on the underside of the planet, well, we just rotate the bottom of the planet up. That way, then the player can do his stuff up there. Like maybe we could do that. And so that's when I got into I think it's the Rail Lab. No, that's where we were here. Okay, so that was the problem there, and I figured out a partial solution. Like that idea was actually kind of successful. So I think if I
Nice.
just hit play here, we'll be able to see this. So what you're seeing right here, you can see I've got my like little ship, and I'm flying around here, and I've got the planet that's like kind of rotating under me, and it looks like kind of what we've seen before, right? Where you've got your ship, I'm probably on a rail, I'm flying over the planet, but if I switch back into the editor and go to the ship model and go here, you notice something weird. Like the ship is actually not moving at all. It's completely stationary. The planet is rotating, and the skybox isn't rotating either. The only thing that's moving here is the asteroid. The asteroid's just slowly rotating. The ship isn't moving at all. But
That's not
when I
true because the HDR is also moving.
right, so
Oh,
that
did
was a
you
tricky
are
thing for me to figure out because
Oh
I
God,
was like,
are you rotating the HDRI too?
yeah.
Holy shit. That's awesome.
So because it would look really weird if
Yeah, yeah.
you couldn't, like if the skybox wasn't moving. And in fact, well, yeah. So if let's see, I don't know if I can I do this in real time? The skybox cam, if I disabled that, no, because
Wow.
the way the layer things are
You're
working.
a genius,
Uh,
man.
yeah, there you go. So actually, that did work.
Yeah.
So with this, well,
Whoa,
now you're going to
whoa,
see some
whoa.
weird artifacting things because of the way Unity is rendering stuff.
Sure, sure.
Um, But now, yeah, it looks weird, right? But if I turn the skybox cam back on, then oh,
Yeah,
cool. We're actually rotating around this planet.
right.
That was a really hard challenge. Like, so adding to the technical difficulty of scene 3.
Yeah.
For that one, I spent a lot of time doing research on like, well, how, because I was definitely able to figure out like how to get the planet rotating. That wasn't too hard.
Mhm.
And we'll see in a second here, that comes with a whole bunch of technical problems that were even more difficult. But in this particular orientation and context, like, oh yeah, that's not too bad. Just get it to,
Yeah.
roll towards the player. And
Yeah.
cool, look at this. Like it feels like we're flying over the planet. Like that's neat. But without the skybox, like the effect is completely ruined. Like you can't, it doesn't feel like you are going over the side of the planet. So I needed to figure out how to do that. And my first thought was like, okay, well, how do I rotate the skybox? And it turns out there is a way to rotate the skybox up here in the inspector. If I go to this, click on that guy. So in here, it's possible to go into the inspector, and for the skybox, there's like this little option to do rotation here. And like, okay, cool. That was
Mm.
the first place that I looked. I was like, oh, great. Yeah, I'll just feed this into the code and tell the code like, hey, when you're spinning the planet, just also spin this. The
Yeah.
problem is this rotates uh, on the yaw axis. There's
On
no way to rotate this with the planet. So if I have
Uh-huh.
the
Uh-huh.
planet spinning here, and I go back here and I want to rotate this, well, shit, that doesn't work. I can only rotate it basically like if you imagine like your head and you're just turning your head and looking around, that's the only
Yeah.
way you can rotate the skybox.
Yeah.
So then I thought like, okay, maybe I go into the Unity code and find a way to like figure out where that is and add a
Yeah.
new rotation. And like that was not going to happen. That was way too complicated. So I gave up on that. Like, okay, well, shit, what else could I do? What if I make my own skybox? Like, what if I just recreate a skybox in the game? Like, build a giant cube
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
paint the inside of the cube with, those, because basically that's kind of the way Unity makes their skyboxes. As you can see here, there's actually 6 different uh, like skybox images, and each one of
Mhm.
those gets painted to the inside of a cube, and then
Mhm.
that cube is like drawn infinitely far away from the camera, and that's how Unity knows that what the skybox looks like.
Right. Right.
So I thought like, well, maybe I could just do that. I'll just make a really big cube and then I'll rotate that. I didn't get far enough to deal with that because then a combination of an idea I had and something somebody else had mentioned was like, well, wait a minute. Instead of back to the theme park magic, instead of rotating the skybox, what if I just rotated the camera and had one camera that it was only responsible for looking at the skybox and couldn't see anything else? And so that's what I did. Kind of like
Oh.
it was a similar idea to the targeting reticle problem, right? Where the targeting reticle would clip through things.
Yeah.
The way I solved that problem is I gave it its own camera and told that camera, don't render anything except this targeting reticle. And then for the other cameras, I said, render everything except the targeting reticle. And then we just take those two cameras and kind of layer them on top of each other like a Photoshop layer and
Mhm.
put the reticle one on top. So then,
Mm.
bam, problem
Mhm.
solved. This
Mhm.
one's the
Mhm.
same idea. Those two layers, the reticle cam and the ship cam, I said, look at everything except the skybox. And then the skybox cam, I said, don't look at anything except the skybox, and then put that on the bottom layer. And then what I did is I took that camera, which if I go down here, so here's the skybox cam, and I gave it a rotation. So when I hit play, I'm going to switch back here. Well, actually, it flew away. You can see that that skybox cam is moving around. It's flying through the air,
Oh,
right?
sure. Yeah.
And as it does that, you can see in the bottom little preview down here, I might be blocking a little bit of it.
That's okay.
It's showing what that camera is seeing, and it's basically just rotating in space and showing this rotating skybox. So when you take that camera plus the ship camera plus the rotating asteroid, it creates this effect where it
Whoa.
looks like you are actually moving over the horizon of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
planet, right?
Right. You're right.
So I was like, that was a huge victory day. I was like, yeah, I was so excited to have finally like figured that out. Like, yes, saving
Uh-huh.
scene 3. So we're actually going to be able to do this thing. There is one other movie magic or like theme park magic component that I haven't fixed yet, and that's
Uh-huh.
the lighting. You'll notice that
Uh,
the lighting stays exactly the same. in order to like really sell this effect,
Right,
I need
right.
to
You're gonna have
rotate
to
the light
rotate the
as
light
well.
as well. Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's on my to-do
Jeez.
list. Uh, and so that was the end of a day. I was like, oh, pat myself on the back. Good
Uh-huh.
job, dude. You did it. Came back the next day and immediately realized there was a problem. And that problem is if I click on our asteroid here. So basically, I created this script where I can rotate the asteroid. So if I want to, if I click back in here, it'll be a little bit easier to see. I can change the speed, so I can, crank this way up to 30, get that thing to spin really fast. If I want it to spin in the other direction, I can click this, and it'll spin backwards, it'll spin that
Nice.
way. I can get it to rotate in all these different orientations. So I was like, okay, cool, that's great. The problem is, if I want our ship here to like, hey, let's travel, let's actually turn the ship and turn to the right and start flying to the right. What I would need to do is hit the roll here, right? So that way we could fly that way. But shit. Now we're kind of like flying sideways. Like that's not what I want.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
that's not gonna work. How do I fix that problem? And that ends up being an incredibly complicated problem. I spent 2.5 to 3 days trying to solve this problem. And to give you like some idea of like what the problem is and what the solution needs to be, is it's basically, you can imagine like a giant beach ball, right? In the pool, and you're standing on top of it. And you're doing the balancing act, right? Where you're like
Mm-hmm.
walking on the beach ball, trying to stay balanced on top of it as it's rolling underneath you.
Mm-hmm.
If you turn and run in that direction, the beach ball rolls in that direction with you. If you turn and run in that direction, the beach ball will roll with you in that direction, which is exactly what we want our ship to do, because wherever direction the ship's pointing, we want the asteroid to be rolling in that direction underneath us.
Right.
So we don't want the asteroid to roll like this. Basically, no matter which direction, and actually I have to, there we go. No matter which direction the ship's pointing, we want the asteroid rolling like it is on screen right now,
Right.
directly underneath the player.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's really difficult to do when anytime I change the roll or the yaw, it
Right.
starts to, there needed to be a way to link up the ship orientation with the yaw and the roll.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And solving that proved to be really, really challenging. If I switch to the code, let me show you a couple of things. So this is the code that I wrote to rotate the planet. Not too complicated. Basically, all of these things up here that say serialized field are just dealing with the those different variables that I could click on and off, right? The little check boxes, like oh yes, go ahead and do the reverse roll, or yaw. Clicking those things then gets it to move. So this is just for the inspector. And then down here, this is all the stuff that's getting called an update, which basically says like if the checkbox for yaw is checked, then go ahead and rotate the thing. And it rotates it using this kind of built-in function, which you feed it a vector, a rotation speed, and then whether you want it to rotate relative to itself or relative to the world. That in and of itself was a challenge, like just to figure out like, well, wait a minute, because when you rotate something, its rotation is then affected by itself. So like, for example, I'm going to switch back to Unity. I might switch back and forth a little bit here because this is complicated. I'm going to try my best to
Sure.
like
Yeah.
not make it more complicated than it is, but to like really explain it. So we have our asteroid here, and if it's rotating, in this direction, which is great, that's the direction we want it to rotate for the player, to make the player feel like he's moving underneath it. But if I then also rotate this way, you'll notice that red rotation, it's moving too. So if I move it down here, and now if I want to move it along that axis, well, now it's not actually moving in the same orientation that it was before. Like it's kind of skewed off to the side to make it a
Right.
little bit more extreme. If I rotate this all the way down here, and I'm rotating in the same direction, well now instead of that planet rotating underneath the ship, now it's like twisting underneath the
Mhm.
ship
Mhm. Mhm.
because the green axis, when it rotates, it's rotating the red axis. So now the red axis is actually spinning in a different orientation, which is a problem. Because if I always want it to be rotating in the same direction underneath the player, no matter what, well, how do you solve that problem? Well, it turns out
Right.
that let me just make sure I back up here. Okay, I think that's it. In Unity, in the code here, there are two different worlds that you can reference for the space. You're basically saying like, I want you to do this rotation relative to, you can either say the world or you can say self.
Mm.
And self is like the object itself. And by
Yeah.
default, if you don't put anything in here, that's what it does. It just does it itself. So figuring out that piece of it was like a solution, because once I switched it to world, now when it rotates, the axis for the world never changes. So it's all like up is always up,
Right.
left is always left, forward is always forward. Whereas if the object is rotating, then those things are, as we just saw, actually rotating in space, and then they screw up all the other rotations. So that was one hurdle overcome. But as we saw, this code isn't enough because we needed to have a way to rotate toward the player constantly. And my first thought was like, okay, that's probably, let's see, what did I do with this one? Oh yeah, so this was code that I went in and I spent a whole lot of time in the Unity documentation looking up like vectors and rotation and like how does that work and how do I do this? Searching on YouTube to see like has anybody else done this before? And lots of people have done things like, you know, rotating like a moon around a planet, right? Like doing
Uh-huh.
an orbit or something. Like, okay,
Uh-huh.
that's cool, but that's not what I need. I need like, has anybody done like the Indiana Jones boulder? Like, you just get a ball to like roll in a certain direction. Couldn't find anything on that other than like people who were just using the built-in Unity physics system, which I experimented with a little bit. I was like, well, what if I just treat this thing like a big ball and like add some torque to it in the physics system? That didn't really work because I don't completely know, but the way the physics system behaves is it was like spinning the asteroid not on its like perfect axis. It kind of had this like wobble to it. I think because
Mm.
it was like irregularly shaped, the physics
Uh-huh.
system was smart enough to be like, oh yeah, it would actually spin different. Like it wouldn't spin perfectly.
All right.
So that didn't work. Um, this, what you're seeing on screen right now, was like another tutorial that I tried to see what I could do and this didn't solve the problem. But I started to realize like, okay, well, Unity saves all their rotations in quaternions. And a quaternion I'd never heard of until I started doing Unity development. And it's basically uh, it's a it's a very esoteric math system for keeping track of a rotation of an object, basically. Whereas a vector is like, it's a line that's pointing somewhere in 3D space, right? So if you have like a vector 3, like this guy right here,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
um, it's basically just saying, give me the x, the y, and the z, and I can take those numbers and go, oh, that's pointing to that place in space, because if we go this many units along x, that many units along z, and that many units along y, bam, that's the spot that we're pointing to from where we started. That's the vector. The problem with that is things that are stored or rotations stored in vector 3 are subject to something called gimbal lock, which is basically the problem that I just showed you. We're like, hey, if I rotate around the y-axis, well, then our x-axis is now rotating around a different direction. Like that's not what we want.
Mhm.
That's not quite what gimbal lock is, but it's kind of the same problem. Is you lose control the of the rotation.
Right.
Um,
Captain Blue
so
Blue says, yeah, the gimbal lock problem, perhaps, in the chat.
Yeah, nailed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Captain Blue, right on it. One step
Yeah.
ahead of me. So yeah, gimbal lock was a potential problem, and quaternions is just a more precise way of capturing rotation, which it still keeps track of like the X, the Y, and the Z, but there's also a fourth factor called W that gets used. And the math is really complicated. I spent a lot of time trying to wrap my brain around quaternions and couldn't. I know enough to know like kind of what they're doing under the hood and behind the scenes, but not enough to be able to like teach anybody or to like.
Sure.
And really, I think most people aren't, because even in the Unity documentation, they specifically say like, hey, if you don't really understand quaternions, don't go in there and like manipulate them directly. Just let Unity handle the calculations.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically hand off a lot of the work to Unity. But I figure like, okay, quaternions, that's got to be the solution. There's got to be something in there with quaternions. And so I, again, spent another couple of days learning about quaternions and trying different things. And what you're seeing here, all this is commented out, but basically these are different tutorials that I did with different like quaternion type functions that are built into Unity. Like this one is something called look rotation, which basically you use the quaternion, the sort of like built-in quaternion class, I guess it is. I may be speaking out of turn there, but it's basically Unity's got a built-in quaternion system, and you can call on it and say like, hey, I want to do this function, like I call quaternion look rotation, which basically says like, well, if you want to do this, you're going to pass in, and you can see the code pop up there that tells you like what you're feeding into it and what it does. It's going to create a rotation with a specified forward and upwards direction. So it's like, hey, that's cool. I can tell it, which direction I want it to point to and which direction is up. So let me try to see if I can use that to get that to solve the problem. That didn't work, so I moved on to the next thing. There's something called Slurp, a really funny name, but it stands for spherical interpolation or something like that. Which basically is just there's like lerp and slurp. It's a way for Unity to go from one rotation to another rotation. Instead of like snapping instantly, it can do it like 1 degree at a time or 10 degrees at a time, or however much you say you want it to do. So you can get this nice smooth movement. And the difference between slurp and lerp is that lerp is just linear. It moves perfectly smoothly between one and the other. And slurp does this thing where it's like easy in, easy out, kind of hard in the middle, where it kind of like goes slow at the beginning and then fast in the middle and then slow at the end, something like that. Or it might be the other way around, slow at or fast at the beginning, slow in the middle, and fast at the end. That's really the only difference between those. Bottom line, I tried that. That didn't work. Next thing I tried was the from to rotation.
Wow.
This one, again, calling on the quaternion system. This one basically you say start in one direction and then go to this other direction. It's kind of the same as like slurp and lerp, but just without the incremental adjustments. But I thought like, maybe there's something in there, and maybe I can like feed in the right things, and that maybe that would work. That didn't work. And I'm not saying that these were like that these are inherently the wrong solutions. It's just that I didn't understand them enough to figure it out. So I moved on. The next one that I tried was my own experiment, which I basically was like, okay, I did these sort of like tutorials to try to understand quaternions a little bit more. Like maybe there's something else that I can do. Let me take those different pieces, smash them together, and try some stuff. So this one I was basically experimenting with taking different. So one of the things you can do with quaternions is you can actually go back and forth between the vector 3 or like rotation information, which are the like Euler angles. Anytime you see this U or EULER, it looks like Euler, but it's actually pronounced Euler.
Yeah.
And it's after the mathematician who figured all of this vector stuff out. But you can go back and forth between them. So when you're storing things in the traditional vector 3 format, that's like subject to Gimbal lock and all that, it's stored in Euler angles. But Quaternion can basically take any rotation and give you back like, oh, here's what the Euler angles would be for this. And so you can kind of like go back and forth between the two. You can feed the quaternion system Euler angles, and it'll give you the rotation. You can use the quaternion system to create a rotation and get back the Euler angles. So I kind of played around with some of that stuff. It's like, okay, well, maybe I can, do these different rotations and feed in the angles directly. That didn't work. Next, this one I was again experimenting myself, using some of the things that worked in the previous experiment, and adding some new ideas. I tried a couple of different things with more look rotation and rotate towards, kind of trying to combine these different pieces of the of the like various systems together to see if I could get it to do what I wanted it to do. That didn't work. Then finally, I started to play around with and actually this code still didn't even work. This was code that I got from somebody else, who was like kind of close to what I was hoping, what I was looking for. But really, what this code does is it just creates an orbit, kind of like one of those orbits I was talking about. But there were pieces of that I was like, maybe there's something in there that I think is going to do what I want it to do. Long story short, that didn't work. By this point, I'm like a day or two into this, and so this is like the end of the day, and I've already had 2 days where I went to bed defeated, like having not figured this thing out. And then I think it was today. I can close this. I don't need to save that. Close this. Don't need to save that. I started working on this one, this rotate with ship thing. So I took like all the stuff that I had been working on the previous couple of days, the learnings that I had about here's how quaternions work, here's how vector threes work, here's how the rotation systems work. And it's doing a lot of experimenting because some of the things had weird behavior where I would like plug in a number expecting it to like okay, this is going to control how much it spin, or like the angle that it's going to spin. So if I can just copy the angle from the ship, when the ship turns at that angle, I can just feed in the rotate and say like use that angle. But it wouldn't do that. It would only like rotate and use an angle that was like 1 degree, like this tiny little rotation. I'm like, oh damn it, why is that doing that? Couldn't get that to work. Said screw it, I'm gonna go take a nap. Went to go lay down and was like, I have an idea. Oh my god. Jumped up out of bed, ran to the computer, turned the computer on, tried the idea, didn't work. Shit. But it was like a little bit closer. It's like, okay, well, whatever. Gave up, went back to go lay down to take a nap, and my brain's still working. By this point, because I'm like a couple days into this thing, my brain is like, even in the background when I'm like taking a break and I'm not working on the thing, it's still like the gears are turning and still trying to like solve that problem.
Yeah.
So I'm getting ready to fall asleep, and then ding, the light bulb goes off again. Like, ooh, what if I try yada yada yada? Jump up, turn the computer on, plug it all in. Doesn't work.
Oh.
Okay. Shit. Give up, turn the computer off, go lay back down. Getting ready to fall asleep. Ding, another idea.
Nice.
But this time I'm like, come on. I've already tried 2 times. This isn't working. But whatever. I'll do it because if I fall asleep, I'm going to forget what the idea was. So let me try it. Don't jump up this time. Just amble my way over to the computer, turn it on slowly, type this stuff in, and bam, it worked.
Whoa.
Like, oh, holy shit. It was
What?
so relieving. And this happened like just a couple of hours ago, like earlier today. I
Nice.
was coming into today's show thinking like, I'm not going to have this problem solved. Damn it. But basically, I wrote this code, and what it does is, and it still needs a little bit of work, but it keeps track of like, okay, what direction is the ship pointing? Keep track of that, and then the amount of rotation needs to be relative to the angle of the ship. So, like, the original idea that I had was that I needed to basically say like, if I switch back to Unity, this might be a little bit easier to visualize. What I originally thought I needed to do was like, okay, if I know that I can tell the ship to rotate on this axis right here, which basically means you can see the red arrow there pointing out to the right. When I rotate around that, it's basically like, imagine there's a pole on that red arrow sticking right through the middle of the asteroid. So
Mhm.
when I move it, it's rotating around that as though it's skewered in that direction. And same
Like a
thing with like
rotisserie
the
chicken.
green one. So if I grab the green one and rotate it that way, it's like it's skewered on a green pole, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So what I thought was like, okay, well, if I want it to roll like this way and this way at the same time, I just need to like give it a vector that points out in between the two. So that was what I was originally trying to do, and I could not get that to work at all. Because every time, no matter what vector I fed into it, it would always just be moving on like the original vector. Like either X or Z or Y, but not like anything in between. Unless I turned both of them on at the same time, then they were both moving, at the same time, which is roughly equivalent to like having something right in the middle, like exactly 45 degrees between the 90-degree angle. Like, well, that's not going to work because the ship's
Mm.
not going to snap from being at 90 degrees to 45 degrees to 0 degrees. Like, we need a smooth transition.
Mhm.
The secret was actually, and if I switch back here, the secret was in the ship rotation. Instead of feeding the ship rotation into the vector, the angle, I needed to feed it into the rotation. Basically meaning that I'm always going to say, hey, you're going to be rotating around the x-axis to create that forward motion.
Right.
But if the ship is completely facing 90 degrees, don't rotate around that anymore. Now you should actually be rotating around the z-axis to roll the other way.
Mm.
And if the ship is anywhere between looking straight ahead and looking perfectly to the right or to the left, if it's anywhere in between there, you need to do some kind of combination of it.
Right.
Well, how much? Using the ship's rotation, I can feed in, I can basically say, like, starting at 90 degrees, if the ship starts to veer away from that, start taking away the rotation from the front and adding it to the rotation from the side. And if the ship gets all the way to 90 degrees on the side, we should have 0 rotation coming from the front and
Mhm.
100% coming from the side.
Right.
So that's what this code does.
Wow.
And when I switch back to Unity and go into, so that was partial solution part 1. When I implemented it into partial solution part 2, and I think if I hit play, now you can see that, so I'm using this cube instead of the ship, but you can see that the planet is rotating here. If I switch back to, actually I'll leave it here, grab my cube, where's my cube, the roll cube, I think it's this guy. If I go up here and start and change the Y, the Y rotation for the cube is the yaw, so that's the equivalent of it looking left and right. If
Mhm.
I change this, oh, actually, that's not what oh, because it's negative. Hang on a second here. Something broke. I knew it would break.
Mm.
Rotation speed. Okay, so no, that's fine. That
Oh.
seems, oh, I know why that's going so fast, actually. So if I do 0.1 there, that's there. Grab my cube. I think if I put 90 in here, okay, yeah, that's hard to tell, okay. But if I rotate the cube this way, you can see the planet is rotating underneath the cube and matching it, right? To see like what's happening here, if I zoom back out here and I've got my cube, wait, was I rotating something else? Let me reset this. So I've got my cube, it's rotating, or the asteroid is rotating in the correct orientation. And if I rotate this cube this direction, you can see it's subtle, but the
Oh,
asteroid is
yeah.
rotating relative to
Yeah.
cube orientation.
Holy
So
cow.
yeah, now it's perfect. Now it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And if I rotate the cube to a perfect 90-degree angle, you'll notice that the
Whoa,
rotation
yeah.
now,
Yeah.
it's always matching the
Whoa.
cube. So
We
if
are
I,
licensing and patenting this code. If anyone
there
wants
you
this
go.
code, you have to
You
pay a
have to
fee.
pay. There's a
Yeah.
licensing fee.
Holy cow, Michael,
So
that is
I
awesome,
know.
man. Good job,
Uh,
dude.
it was
Shee.
that was hard. That was really, really hard to figure out.
Holy
But
cow.
uh, but now here we go. So I've got it figured out. We can rotate our cube,
Uh-huh.
which is our placeholder for our ship. But which means now we can program in anytime we want the ship to, rotate on the rail or to change directions. The asteroid will match that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and do it in real time, and we don't have to do any crazy like animation thing because it just knows that, oh, I'm always supposed to be rotating relative to the cube.
The cube,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so that's like the huge technical achievement that took me like
Wow.
most of the week to achieve. And it seems like such a simple thing. And you look at the code, it's only like 10 lines of code,
Sure.
but figuring it out was
I don't.
so hard.
Yeah, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And you'll notice like one of the reasons why this breaks is because I've only programmed it to uh, for like 90-degree angles, and so if I go like around the horn or past that, it's still broken. So there's still some bugs,
Sure,
but the
sure, sure,
the
sure.
core functionality is there,
Right.
um, which is
Wow,
great.
man.
Yeah.
I gotta give you like a clap of achievement. Man, that is very impressive. I mean, you're you're still a you're still a I mean, you're not a noob, but you're still fairly new to this whole like Unity programming system, but your thought and your solution, you had a solution in mind and then you basically came up with the code to make it work. And that's quite freaking impressive, man. I would not be able to do
Thanks,
this. I
dude.
would have been like, ah, fuck it, let's just do it with the flat plane. That's what
Yeah.
we're going to be doing. Oh
No,
man.
this is gonna be
Yeah.
so cool. I want this
Yeah.
scene to work.
Yeah, so this is cool. So the next question for you is uh man, boy, I mean, if only the rail system worked, then we won't have to deal with all of this. But maybe that's like a great little,
Hmm.
blessing in disguise. 'Cause now we got to figure out how to make the lights kind of rotate as well too. But
Yeah.
I mean, what we have now, it's very cool. It definitely solves the problem. And holy cow, I still can't believe, you're able to, you know, figure out this program. I mean, not because of you, but because just it to me it's like so hard. Oh my gosh. And this is why I'm not programming, and this is why you're the programmer. That's why you
There
get
you
paid the
go.
big bucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Captain Blue says this is great. I also wonder how this will work with buildings and enemies that are relative on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. So for the lighting thing, I don't have a solution for that yet, but I think that's not going to be nearly as difficult as the damn
Yeah.
asteroid rotation.
Yeah.
Um, as for the enemies, the like relative position and their movement, I think I might be able to get away with using them on the rail system, which I'm going to show you in a second here. Um, that's going to potentially be really tricky, and it's going to be a little bit like playing four-dimensional chess. Um, but but really, I think that the big piece of the planet rolling towards you, having that out of the way, everything else I think is going to be much easier.
Nice.
But yeah, those are both like, how do I get the other elements to play nice with this system,
Right.
and the lighting. So hopefully I can work on those and have those solved by next time. But one of the things that I also wanted to show, and kind of like my idea for where I think this is going to go, is I found a way to basically create, let's see, where are they? Yeah, here you go. A rail system. This one's just in a straight line. Think I can also do curves as well. But I've got a rail for the asteroid, and then I also have a rail for the ship. And the ship's one that follows the exact same rail. It's just 160 units vertical up. That way, it's on top of the asteroid. And setting both of these to the same speed, let's see, the ship's going at base speed of 50. That's pretty fast. How about 25? Or can I just revert that to 25? There we go. And set this to, actually, that's to 25. And now I think what should happen is back in the game, oh, we can't see the ship. That's a weird bug. Is that,
Oh, that is so cool.
I don't know why the ship's not appearing there. Where is the player ship? Oh. It's inside the... What the hell? Why is it down there? Oh, that's why. This needs to be on the ship rail, not the asteroid rail. And now if I hit play, is everything in the right place? No. Ah, why not? Where is the camera? Ship cam. Okay, so I think this one needs to go to here and here. And the reticle goes, oh no, reticle cam goes to the same thing. I may be breaking this. This might not work. Might work. Nope, didn't work. Damn it. Well, okay.
That's okay.
Yep, that's broken. The point though for that is that basically I've created this like rail system where both the asteroid and the ship move together on two different rails. So even though it it feels like it's the same thing where the planet's just like spinning underneath the player.
Yeah. But it's
Since the
also
player's
traveling.
moving along with it, we can then do a rail that goes up and down and should be able to turn side to side, and then the asteroid will roll in that direction
Wow.
as we go. So that's what my plan is
Uh-huh.
to create this sort of rail system where the planet's doing the rolling thing, and all the skybox and stuff is rolling with it, and the actual rail path will be the second path up above. It'll do its thing in kind of these different directions, going up to 90 degrees to the right and up to 90 degrees to the left, and that will give us the ability to fly like down into the canyons and fly
nice.
up into the sky. But it'll give the illusion that we're traversing the entire planet because it can rotate underneath us depending on which direction we're oriented towards.
Right.
So I had this working earlier, but I made some additional updates and changes to other things which clearly broke it, and I'm not going to be able to fix it on the spot. But
right.
yeah, that's that.
But wow, I mean, still with what you showed today, that's really, really impressive. I'm curious now. I mean, now that you kind of have this system, I mean that 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 in itself could be in its own game kind of deal, right? I mean,
Hmm.
we could create a
Yeah.
game using that code.
Yeah, totally.
That's
Yeah,
so
you could do a
cool.
whole game that's where you're just like, Super Mario Odyssey style, where you're,
Oh, right.
running
Yeah.
around the
Mhm.
planet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. Good
But
job, Michael. Wow.
thank you. Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
But that's not all.
But wait,
There
there's
are
more.
more. There's more. Back into here. Okay, so another thing that I did, and we've actually seen some of it here,
Uh-huh.
uh, but it really didn't impact anything. There's one of the challenges that I was working on. I don't need to save any of that stuff. I think I just leave that alone. The new Rail Lab. What? Oh yeah, I don't want to look at the HUD. Close that. And let's go down here. So this is just like a quick little obstacle course that I made, and this is something that broke earlier, so I'm hoping that I fixed it and it's going to work now that we're live. One of the things that I had been wanting to do, because it would open up the ability to add additional functionality in a way that was like really, you know how we had that old rail system, which was the big pain in the ass thing where you had to like go in and modify each individual
Yeah. Yeah.
keyframe, and I was
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
oh man, Cinemachine, there's this new rail system, it's
Mhm.
amazing, it's going to make it
Mhm.
so much easier for us to deal with it.
Mhm.
Cinemachine could do the same thing for some of the camera stuff that I was doing, but because I'd already solved some problems with the camera system, like the reticle
Mhm.
layering
Mhm.
thing,
Mhm.
and I didn't know how to do that in Cinemachine, I was like, we can't use Cinemachine, we can't use all those extra features because I don't know how to solve these problems that we've already solved. But I was determined, like, if I can solve those problems, there's all this other stuff that we can pull over from Cinemachine that I think is going to make this, it's going to make my job easier, and it's going to it's going to both make my job easier and allow us to add more features and to do more things, to add more
Sure.
stuff to the game that otherwise I couldn't program in myself, because the people who made Cinemachine are way smarter than I am in terms of like programming. Um,
I don't
so I
know,
was on a
man.
mission
They
to
can't do they can't do
giving
what
them
we
a run
want.
for their money. I'm coming for you.
Uh,
So I was on a mission to figure out how to get the Cinemachine system working, uh, in like with our system. So I think if I hit play right here, hopefully nothing's broken. This should just play like normal. What you're seeing looks pretty typical, right? This looks like, oh yeah, we've seen this before. This is exactly the same game. Which, if that's the reaction, that's fantastic, because that was my goal. What you're seeing is a completely new, like from written, like remade from the ground up
mhm.
camera system that operates on the old rail system. I got rid of all the other old stuff, rebuilt it with Cinemachine, and was able to still get all the same
Nice.
functionality that we'd already figured out in the previous one, which was like, bam, that was another nowhere near as big of a technical achievement as the Scene
Sure.
3
Sure.
solution, but it was big because it's
Yeah.
like, wow, I got our thing working in Cinemachine. Like, this is great. Uh, it was tricky because the Unity camera system is much simpler than Cinemachine. Cinemachine uses like virtual cameras and brains and various things like that that have these like weird uh, behaviors and requirements that are very helpful when you know how to use them. But if you don't, then they can be
Mm.
really tricky. So I needed to
Mhm.
figure out a lot of that stuff. Got a lot of that figured out, and basically got our thing working.
Nice.
Now, what that allowed me to do is then I was trying to figure out like, okay, it's really important for the rest of the levels that we're making. I'm just going to play this game while I'm talking. For us to be able to turn the ship sideways, so that way we could strafe around an objective,
Cool.
and also to turn around and look backwards. That was something we had talked about last time,
Cool.
where I had kind of like in the Scene 4 brainstorm, I was like, oh man, in the research that I was doing, there are all these moments in classic rail shooters where you spin around and you're moving backwards and something's chasing you and you're shooting it or whatever. Being able to like look in those different directions, really important. But we didn't have that. Like, or the rail system couldn't do that. Now it can.
Ah, yeah.
And not only that, I had like what I'm going to show you right now is like the final version of a like 5 or 6 different version like series of experiments. The,
Sure.
the first version I had kind of like built this system myself from scratch using the old camera system, to kind of like get the plane to like look to the different directions, and it could do it, but it would like snap.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
and it was really jarring and disorienting. I was like, well, that's not going to work. I need to find a way to have it do it smoothly. And that's what kind of pushed me over the edge to like figure out the Cinemachine thing, because I was like, if you could get the Cinemachine system working at its base level,
Mhm.
doing smooth transitions from left to right and back would probably be really easy. So that pushed me to figure out this, which then allowed me to create this new camera system, uh, which now I've got these gates in the scene here, which if I click here, you can kind of, so actually I guess I need
Mhm.
to click on this box collider, that way you could see them. So see all these like green gates? I
Yeah.
rewrote the gate system too. Instead of having like all these different gates that do different things, I combined them all into one. So you can see over here, in the inspector, the gate script now, instead of there being like a gate to change the speed and a different gate to change the rail and a different
Mhm.
gate to change direction, like the
Mhm.
look direction, I just put it
Mhm.
all into a single gate and basically said like, okay, whatever you want this gate to do, it can do all of that stuff. So
Nice.
if you want to simultaneously change speed and look direction, you can do that. If you want to change look direction and rails at the same time, you can do that.
Nice.
um, which also was difficult to figure out, but nowhere near as hard as any of the other stuff.
Sure.
Um, but basically, what I have in this scene now is I have a bunch of different gates. The first of which is this guy right here, and all this one's going to do is it's going to tell us to start looking to the left. So when the ship passes through the gate, it should
Cool.
smoothly transition to looking at the left-hand side while still simultaneously flying
Yeah.
along the existing rail system.
Yeah.
And then the next gate,
Oh,
this one
cool.
I'm telling it to switch us to looking backwards,
Nice.
and so on and so forth. So now if I hit play, and nothing's
Oh,
broken,
Oh, this is going
Right
to be
as we
cool.
pass between these two cubes right here, you're going to see that smooth transition to the left,
Nice.
smooth as butter, and now we're flying sideways on the left. And then as we get close to the here, we should be switching smoothly again to now we're flying in reverse.
Backwards. Oh, wow.
And as we come out of this like tunnel area, we will switch again.
So cool.
Oh, and there's one in here for Captain Blue Blue, right here. This
Oh!
I added to the gate system and the ability to do an inversion because Captain Blue Blue had mentioned something last time about like, oh, could you have the ship do like a loop de loop, program that in? And I was like, I don't know if I could do that, but ta-da! I just basically have
Wow.
an inverted camera now that allows us to, at any time, if you want to do an inversion, you can spin the thing upside down. So
Wow.
there you go.
Good job,
And yeah,
man. That
and
looks cool.
thanks. I'll go ahead and play that again for
Yeah,
you.
play it. Yeah.
And so yeah, so it's basically here. I'm using the existing rail system. Nothing changes, but you
Nice.
can see it's now turning once it goes through those different gates, and it's doing it very smoothly. I wish I had the original one that I could show you where it like snapped because like that was pretty bad.
Sure,
And
I
this is
believe you.
like leaps
Yeah.
and bounds better,
Oh, that's
and
so
looks
cool.
pretty good.
Captain Blue
And
Blue says, "Yeah, I have direct impact in the game now."
yeah,
Oh, that's so cool.
we'll call that the Captain Blue Blue barrel roll.
Oh man.
So yeah. Oh, the other thing that's really cool about this, and it was a little bit tricky, is on our rail system. If I switch to here and go, which one's going to be the least disorienting? Probably here. Yeah, if I go here, so this is going to be like just a little bit past our first gate, I think, right? Yeah, so our first gate's right here, and then this rail, if I grab this guy and we bring him up
Nice.
and bring this one up, and we roll these, like, let's see, what direction? Yeah, I want it to roll that way. So let's do like a 45-degree roll for both 2 and 3. So now what the rail is doing is you can see it's kind of like rolling that way, right? Now if I play this, it's still going to turn to the left, but it's going to also take into account the roll,
Sure,
and so it'll
sure.
look down at the ground. So now we
Oh,
can like
cool.
shoot
Yeah.
things at the ground, and then it's going to come back down. There were a couple of early prototypes that didn't do that. Oh, now I'm clipping through the floor.
Whoa, whoa.
Oh, and I missed I flew over the turnaround backwards gate, which is fine because as soon as we go through the next gate, we will spin around, and now you get to see it go from looking forward to the right. Actually, no, that might be a bug. Yep. Oh, bug detected live. I'm real curious why. Da, da. That's well. I guess we're looking forward now.
Yeah,
Weird.
it reset
Um.
it. Weird.
Well, anyway, I'll continue to tinker with that, but the
Oh,
basic idea
is it
is there.
because of because you implemented the role and so therefore once the role's implemented, it kind of screwed it up? I'm pretty sure that's probably why.
Well,
It
what's
shouldn't.
supposed to have happened, yeah, is like once it goes through one of the gates, whatever orientation it's currently in, it switches to the new one. So it shouldn't have mattered that it skipped that the roll kind of like caused it to skip one of the gates or do something weird. Shouldn't. But yeah, you might be right. Like there may be something that was like because it rolled to a certain position, then when it spun to like move around to the front direction, it didn't have what it thought was enough of a rotation wasn't because of the roll. I don't really know.
Hmm.
But to give you like some idea of how this system works, basically, and it would probably be easier if I wonder, do we have in the Polygon prototype prefabs? Yeah, here we go.
Ooh, cool. Ooh,
We're
sports car.
gonna do this here.
Ooh, look at that. It's
Okay,
like
so
a
we got the sports car
Lamborghini.
here, and I think we've got props. Is there a camera in here?
It's a nice looking car.
No, maybe not. Um, well, darn it. I thought there was. Maybe under icons. Ammo, car, camera. There we go. Bam. Okay. So basically, the way this system works is like the previous system. All these cameras are invisible. So imagine our car is our ship. There is a camera in the back. You know,
Mhm.
the butt cam. That's the
Mhm.
typical. That's the one that we had before.
Mhm.
And then I also have additional cameras that are like in these positions. And then there's one up here. Whoops, looking like that direction. And then there's one more back here. This is the Captain Blue Blue barrel roll cam. This one is basically in the same position as this one, but it's upside down. It's like this.
Mm.
And basically, the way Cinemachine works is you have these virtual cameras, and then you have what's called the brain. And the brain camera is like it picks which camera to be using as the camera, and it switches between them smoothly. So basically, just say I deactivate cameras, and so when I have all these other cameras deactivated, except the main ship cam. I'm actually going to move this guy up a little bit. So I'll deactivate all 4 of these other ones and only have the main camera working, and then we're flying forward. Then if I turn that one off and turn this one on, Cinemachine brain goes, oh, okay, we should be using this camera now. It will smoothly transition from the camera where it was, and it'll kind of like slowly arc around to the one that it wants to use now. So that's how we get those like smooth transitions. And it moves the entire apparatus of the like player ship and the reticle and the all this stuff, because I basically have like the player rig, which is this huge object that contains all of these things, and then inside that there's something called the outrigger. This is where I have those different cameras. So you can see I've got these different like there's a camera there, there's a camera there, here, the inversion cam. All of these cameras are in the outrigger, but they're all deactivated except for the forward cam. That's this one right here. So if I turn that guy, well, I've got the brain camera back here. But these are the cameras that the brain is using. And these are the different cameras. So there's our ship cam, there's our reticle cam, and then these are like the virtual cameras. So these are more virtual cameras. But anytime you see this icon where you've got like this red camera with the gear here, this is the brain. So this is like actually what the camera is seeing.
Right.
So this ship cam is the one that, or actually it's the gimbal cam that changes direction, because what I did is I created this object, added the camera to it, and put the player ship and all of its components inside this. So this is the one that is looking at these different cameras and changing the orientation. But you can see down here, it's not really displaying anything because I don't need that to work as a camera. I just need it to move all the other stuff. So that's what it's doing. It's smoothly transitioning between those camera viewpoints, but it's not actually displaying anything because we're already showing that here with the ship cam.
Sure.
Boy howdy, took a long time to figure out all the sort of like the outer rig, the outriggers, the gimbal that the camera system is like moving on, hooking all those things up together. But did it and was like, oh,
nice.
I did this before figuring out the Scene 3 thing, so I was like really proud of myself. This was like on one of our Overwatch sessions where I was like, oh man, I figured out a big technical challenge today. Like nailed it, did it. So yeah, there are a couple, like we've already seen a couple of bugs, but there's also like when I'm flying sideways, I don't really like the way the lasers are coming out. I think that looks technically that's like
it looks
like
legit.
appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But it
wonder
looks,
if there's a way to make it look a little less janky.
Yeah.
I mean, they should be flying out sideways from you,
Right.
but
Right.
maybe
Maybe
not
if
quite
we
like that.
put like a blur on them, because right now they're like very sharp geometry shapes.
Sure.
If we can put like a blur on it, it'll look a little bit nicer.
Yeah, I think you're right. Once we get into like post processing, maybe we can make that look a little bit better. Oh, hey, look,
Yeah.
the car's out there.
Kill it! Kill it!
All right. So
Holy
there
cow,
you
man.
go.
Good job, dude.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see. That was the Rail Lab thing. I'm gonna check in here in my scenes to see if there was anything else. Oh, I guess there's one thing that I can show you here, the camera blend thing. Do I want to save this? No, I don't think I need to save that. Just to kind of give you an idea of how this sort of like the camera blending works.
Hmm.
Um, this was a little setup that I did just to kind of like try to experiment and figure it out. So right here, I've got a camera brain. I've also got one down here, or actually, this is a virtual camera. This is not a camera brain. There's one camera brain, this one, the main camera. So if I click on that, you can see it's currently looking at what virtual camera number 2 is looking at. If I turn off virtual camera number 2, actually, hang on, let me do this. No, I got to do this. So if I turn off virtual camera number 2 and then switch back to the main camera, well, now you can see that it's looking at what virtual camera number 1 is looking at, which is way up here, right? If I turn on virtual camera 2 again, now it's looking close. What happens is in game, if I hit play here, we're looking at this is what virtual camera number 2 is seeing. If I click on virtual camera number 2 and disable it, you're going to see this nice smooth transition to
Oh, cool.
virtual camera number 1.
Yeah.
So Cinemachine's doing that all automatically.
Yeah.
That brain camera knows like where those two cameras are, and it figures out the perfect blend between the two. And you can
Nice.
adjust the parameters and the settings, but that's all like coming right out of the box. I didn't have to program any of that in.
Mm.
Then if I click virtual camera number 2 back on, if I re-enable it, now Cinemachine goes back to that one. So you get a nice smooth transition back. So that's
That's cool.
basically the way I'm doing the transitioning between looking left, right, forward, backwards,
Hmm.
upside down, is each one of those orientations has a camera. And then when I turn off the current one and turn on the new one, it does this. It
Right.
switches to that new orientation.
Nice.
And because it's all on that like gimbal system, it
Yeah.
brings all of the appropriate things with it.
Nice. Nice.
So that's how that works.
And just to
Okay.
let you guys know
Yeah.
that this is so important because Michael and I are, we come up with some cool ideas of in scene 3 where, we can utilize this type of drifting, if you will. And
Totally.
yeah, it's gonna be useful. So awesome job, Michael.
Thank you. Okay, and so now we finally come to the surprise. This is the thing that I was teasing
Oh,
last time. In the process of doing of figuring out this new rail system and the Cinemachine stuff, there was a tutorial that I found that I knew like that has the answer that I'm looking for. That's going to solve my because the big problem was getting the targeting reticle thing to work in Cinemachine, and I
uh-huh.
knew this tutorial had the answer to that. So I was like, I'm going to watch this tutorial and try to do it and figure it out. That tutorial happened to be about a thing that it's like in the process of doing that tutorial, I inadvertently added a big chunk of a new feature to the game that was like really not expected.
Yeah.
Um, and that tutorial was about how to add split screen multiplayer to your game.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Captain Blue Blue
in
says, "Wait, that wasn't the surprise." No, this is the surprise.
this
Apparently.
is the
Holy
surprise.
cow! What the what? Wow.
Yeah, this is the thing that I was like, no promises that this is actually going to end up in the game because this was not on our list of like the game
What?
that we're making. This was like, oh yeah, maybe at some point in the future we can do multiplayer, but right now this is just a single player game. But yeah, in in like all of the work that I did to learn how to get the camera system to work, it turned out we could do this with everything that I've learned about how to do stuff with Cinemachine. And so just for fun, I went ahead and programmed in a little bit of a level. Forgive me, I didn't spend very much time on this, so it's
Oh
a little bit
shit.
janky. And there's also some weird stuff with the camera, like it doesn't have the camera system that we just looked at, so you're going to
You
see some
sure?
weird stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it'll at least give you this visual that, like, oh man, this is kind of like what our rail shooter multiplayer could look like. So without further ado, here we go.
Oh my God. Ah.
There you go. You've got player 1
Oh.
and 2. Player 1 on the right-hand side, player 2 on the left, both flying on different paths,
Oh
flying around
shit.
into space
Oh my God. This is awesome.
on the
Are
same
you
screen.
controlling? Are you controlling both of them?
Yes.
As in like
So
the up and down
the
and
shooting.
whatnot. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Oh,
but you can see like the ships are kind of pivoting themselves, and the camera's not really orienting that way.
yeah.
But it programmed a couple of cool things here. Like player two has got one on his tail, so we're like, oh, hang on, we got him. All right, you're all
Nice.
clear. And now there's this section here where player one goes low, player one goes high, player two goes low, and they both have enemies to shoot up top and bottom.
Yeah. Oh,
And,
that is cool,
oh,
man.
that's that guy, and then shoot these guys. There's a couple more around there, and now we've kind of like split up, and we'll fly back around, get them in a crossfire right there.
Oh,
And
cool.
granted, because of the way the controls are uh, not programmed,
Uh-huh.
it's hard to shoot some of the drones. I tried to place them in the line of fire for us, but and try to create these little moments where the players are like seeing each other and can kind
Yeah.
of like shoot enemies off each other's tails. But yeah, again, and that's pretty much the end of the little tutorial. I'll go ahead and play
That
that again
is
for you. But
holy cow. That's all. This is like Time Crisis, but in our game kind of deal.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly what I was thinking too.
that is so cool. Wow. Wait, so can I ask like is
Can we put this in the game?
uh uh well, I
We
won't ask.
could.
Never mind.
So this is the probably honestly the biggest hurdle is done already. Like figuring out how to do the camera. So like there are a couple of things with the camera that I still need to figure out how to do. Um, Obviously, like I would need to make some updates to the HUD system to support two players, the control system to receive input from player one and player
Mhm.
two independently. Um, on top of that, we would need to have considerations about when we're designing the levels. Do we
Yeah.
build them for two players? Do we have
Yeah.
a separate set of levels that are like these are the one player or the single player levels, and then these over here are the multiplayer levels? Um, so there are a lot of additional considerations and things that would need to go into both game design and into the programming to
Yeah.
actually make this work.
Right.
But I mean, at a like prototypical level, like what you're seeing right here, this is like proof of concept. Like this is what it could look like, um, and it could be so cool. Like the
Wow.
idea of having environments where you have two different paths and the players are like crisscrossing and helping each other and like doing different things, and maybe you could have like player one could be in charge of shooting a door open for player two to
Oh, sure.
take
Yeah.
a special path or something, and then if he
Right.
doesn't do it, then player two ends up on a different rail because now
Right.
we have a rail change system.
Yeah.
Um, there's so many cool things that we could do with it. It would just be we would have to make the decision. We wouldn't we shouldn't take that decision lightly because it would
Right.
be an awful lot of things to add to the
Yeah.
game. But
Yeah.
man, this was so exciting when I was like, holy crap! I accidentally added split screen to the game. This is so
Yeah.
cool.
That is so awesome. I'm just thinking like what if it wasn't down in then vertically? What if it was like horizontally? Like
Hmm.
horizontal.
I
I'm curious.
tried that.
Yeah. What was
That
your
was
what was your
yeah, that was the first thing that I did, and it did not look as good.
Got it. Got it.
I think
Okay.
because it's widescreen,
Yeah.
uh, the band for the player. Can I do that in real time? I might be able to do that in real time for you. Let me
Uh,
try.
I don't want you to break it.
Um,
And also another comment is I really love how the the two trails
hmm,
from the wings, they look really
mhm,
cool. Very, very dynamic. I like that a lot.
okay. Well, maybe we add that because that's actually a glitch. That's only
That's a
supposed to be happening
glitch?
when the player is boosting.
Oh,
Kind of like create the effect of like, oh, you're moving
yeah.
fast. But yeah, I agree. I thought it looked pretty cool. So
It,
maybe we add that, and maybe make it a little less prominent so it's not
right.
right in your face. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, maybe we add that to or some version of it. Maybe like
Right.
a more subtle wingtip trail.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, as
Yeah,
sort of like
'cause
part of the processing. Sorry, go
th
ahead.
those remind me of I don't know if you remember Tron Legacy on one of those like whenever, or even on the bikes, right? The Tron bikes, it leaves like a nice trail behind, as well as the
Yeah.
planes. It also leaves like a yellow trail. Ah, those it's so cool.
Um,
Captain Blue says, you can't blue ball us like this now. Ah,
I know. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
And Totoro's here
Um,
too. He says Key and
Yay,
Peele
Totoro, welcome.
sketch on Gremlins 2. That's in the movie. Also,
Oh, here it is.
Coley Butt is in the chat too. I didn't get a chance to say hi because you were still talking. But yeah, welcome you guys. So good to have you guys here, and anyone else in the chat.
There we
Oh,
go.
oh, interesting.
Uh,
Hey, Coley Butt.
this is a little bit janky because I couldn't like without really digging in there and adjusting a whole bunch of settings. This is kind of like what split screen
Sure.
horizontal would look like, and it does create like this really nice, super
Yeah.
wide, panoramic view. And you know
Yeah.
what we could probably do is program in the player to choose. Like, do you want to do what top and bottom,
Right.
or do you want to do right and left and let them
Right.
choose?
Right.
But yeah, so it's possible. But when I saw this, I was like, oh wow, that is significantly different than the perspective
Mhm. Mhm.
of the
Mhm.
single player game. So let me
Mhm.
switch it
Mhm.
to side by side. So that's why I did
Yeah.
that. But,
I
yeah, you could
I
do both.
I kind of like this a little bit more to be
At the
honest.
top and the bottom. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, cuz I you see a lot more of things. Vertically is like you're kind of like cropped in. But this
Sure.
way your camera's actually zoomed out a little bit and you actually see more of the space, which I like.
Yeah, and that's we can adjust that.
Yeah.
The like field of view and all that stuff. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, if we do end up adding it, let's definitely at least make the options that way people
Mhm.
can do
Mhm.
either one. Which I think a lot of games do that. They'll give you the option, not all, but many. So yeah,
Yeah.
split screen multiplayer, folks.
That's insane, man. And Coley Butt says, I'm impressed. Totoro says, glad to be here, guys. Yeah.
Glad to have you.
Awesome job, Michael. Oh man, this is amazing.
Thanks. I thought it would be fun. So yeah, I think I'm gonna check while this is running. I'm gonna stop shooting, but I'm gonna go check my notes here. I think I may have covered everything for this week. Let's see. Right, clean out the rail camera, player ship version or the rig version 2. Yep, the gate system overhaul. Yep, and scene 3 asteroid technical achievement. Yeah, and the split screen multiplayer. Yep, that concludes my update for this week.
Nice. Yeah, good job, Michael. That's so
Thank
awesome,
you.
man. A lot of technical achievements, and I'm still very impressed how you were able to, you know, just troubleshoot and figure it out. And based on what Captain Blue Blue said, the solution was to just get up sensitively and not jump to your computer to try out the solution the third time, because the first two time you jumped to your computer, it didn't work,
It
but the
didn't work.
third time you just got up and you just like, yeah, we'll try it out, and it worked.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if I can hit this enemy who's chasing player 2 here. Can I get him right here?
Get it.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
You're all clear.
That is so cool. That kind of feels like Double Dragon. I don't know why. I'm getting like a Double Dragon feel, because probably you have
Yeah.
blue and red.
Yeah, well, I specifically, like, I went out of my way to pick those colors because that's like the pretty typical, for whatever reason, the canonical player 1 color is red and the
Mm.
canonical player 2 color is blue.
Uh,
So,
uh, uh.
in like all kinds of arcade games and console games, that's the way it is. I don't really know
Yeah.
why, but when I had the ships as different colors, it didn't feel right, so I switched it.
Yeah.
Oh, and the way it's displayed on screen right now, I actually put player 1 on the bottom and player 2 on the top. That should actually be reverted, but um, for on the fly, showing
Yeah.
everybody
Holy cow.
widescreen, split screen, not too bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. I really like it. Good job, Michael. Damn.
Thank
This
you.
is so cool.
So there we go. Um, maybe a feature we can add to the Kickstarter list if we hit a certain
Sure.
tier
Sure.
level, we can add in split screen multiplayer. So there you go.
Nice, nice. Good job, man. Good job. I'm
Thank you.
thoroughly impressed as well as everyone else in the chat. You've man, you've learned a lot and you conquered a lot, man. Really, really impressive.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
it's been really great to put, as we saw a couple weeks ago, my big scattered brains chart of like, here's all the stuff I'm trying to juggle and work on
mhm,
simultaneously.
mhm, mhm.
Putting all that stuff on ice and then just working on this game and learning Unity
Yeah,
um, has really been awesome and made and allowed me to do these kind of deep dives where I can go like, I want this to be a part of our game.
right.
Because it would be so cool. Let me just spend a couple days trying to figure this thing out. Oh, and that's the other thing that I was going to mention too is because I'm still quite off track of my like original plan of like, oh yeah, I'm going to do a draft level each week in July, then do like a revised version in August, and then
Mhm,
ship
mhm,
those in the beta in September. What I'm realizing now, because there's so many things that I couldn't have known then that I do know now,
mm,
that fall into the realm of like core systems functionality that the game needs to be able to do for us to even be able to do any of these ideas.
right.
I'm kind of thinking that like in the process of working on these various draft versions of the levels, I'm uncovering the functionality needs. So July is probably going to be a month of like drilling in, like, okay, get the camera system working. That way we can smoothly transition between left and right and backwards. Done.
Right.
Figure out the scene 3 technical problems. That way we can get that rolling, orbiting thing working. And who knows what I'm going to run into between now and next
Sure.
week. But I think July is probably going to be that. And then once those things are in place, I'll probably, because I'll have I hope, so few technical things to deal with once they're addressed, then August can be almost every single week can just be like, all right, guys, I did a whole bunch of cool stuff with level design. Like, check it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Just using the systems that we've built and
Yeah.
then just doing cool stuff with them. But hard to do cool stuff when the system doesn't function yet. So,
Sure. Sure.
but anyway, that's the
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah, yeah, and that sounds like a good plan. And just piggy off of what you're saying, planning wise, I'm hoping that next week I can have all the preliminary assets all more or less figured out, and I can show it to you, and you can say, well, this amount of objects in scene 5 feels good. Don't create any more. Just start making it all look good for all the scenes. 2, 3, 4, 5, make it all good. And then so from then on, we could just start making it work. For example, all the textures, the UV maps, because I know for a fact that I'm gonna run into issues. I'm gonna be like, oh my God, why is this so hard? And why isn't this working? Uh, yeah, I definitely know I'm gonna run into that, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to you, and you're gonna be like, "Ooh, Chris, your texture is a little bit heavy. Is there any way to bring it down instead of like 24 by 80? Can it be 10 by what is it? 10 10 10?
1920 by
No,
1080.
yeah, yes, yes, thank you. Yeah, could it be smaller? It's like, and then that's a learning that we'll have to, throw the assets to each other back and forth to make sure it's optimized. Yeah, I think our timeline, while it's very very tight, it's already mid-July. Um, I believe if I went ahead and if we solidify all the assets for scene 5, then I can start honing in and making things look realistic for our game. But again, that's not to say we don't. If there's a new object and new assets you need, feel free to let me know, and I could always add more. Um, yeah,
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 awesome. Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks,
yeah,
man.
yeah, no problem. And I want you to take a break, really quick, and just
Okay.
grab us water. While you do that, I am going to show some awesome artwork by
Yeah.
a few of our friends. The Creative Tavern from the Creative Tavern.
While you're
Uh,
doing that, I am gonna take a break and go
okay,
refill my
yeah,
water. I'll be
yeah, do
back
that,
in just a minute.
do that. All right. Okay. But today we have 2 submissions uh Collibutt. And I'm just looking around and making sure that these are all the submissions. And before we talk about it, I've seen one of them already, and I want Michael to take a look as well as you guys. And just the FYI, if you guys have any awesome work that you guys are working on, feel free to um, post it in our Discord. And this is our Discord. You guys are most definitely welcome to join the Discord. Since Michael isn't here yet, I'm gonna put my big face on. Yeah, hello. Wee. Uh, oh, my camera is quite blurry, pixelated. Let's make it go back. Anyways, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Uh, share screen. Screen number 4, and boom. Okay. Uh, wait a second. This is weird. This is not right. It is unnatural. It is unnatural.
Let's see here. Okay, I'm back.
Sweet. Hey, welcome back. So
Thank you.
today, we have. Oh, we have. I'm looking at someone's butt and someone's crotch. Oh. This is Captain Blue Blue. Yeah,
There
nice.
you go.
Okay. We got 2 submissions now. Sweet. All right. The first thing that I want to show is Collibutt.
Oh, that's so
Her
cool.
AKA Collie Polly, as well. So this, we were just chatting, and obviously I showed my tarot cards from last stream, and she actually sent and uploaded this really cool Star Wars inspired tarot card design. It's the Fool, and she's calling Anakin a fool because he went over to the dark side of the Force. And my first reactions, which she already has heard, is that I really like her composition. Um, it looks just like, it reminds me of Anakin. She has the facial features down. Like I told her, like, whenever I'm drawing, I always have issues like drawing the freaking nose. Something about the nose. It's such a weird object to draw. It's like round and bulky, and if you don't draw it right,
Yeah.
it's like it's so weird. But anyways, the way she drew it here, the angle of it all, it looks great. I like the cell shading. And also like the fact that there's like Darth Vader behind him. Just kind of has that little bit of a foreboding, is that the right word? Of who he will become. And also kind of like a celestial space at the bottom. But anyways,
Yeah, I
those are
love it.
my thoughts. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, it's cool. I'm really curious, as usual, about the like technical side. Like, what did you use to make this? Because some of the, because it looks a little bit vector based, but maybe it's raster or pixels. I don't know if you did this in like Photoshop, or if it was what's the vector
Illustrator?
based? There you go,
Yeah,
Illustrator.
yeah, yeah.
I come from the Affinity world, so I know like Affinity Designer and Affinity
Mm-hmm.
Photo.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's cool. I dig it.
Yeah. And yeah, if you have the answer to that, Butt, let us know if it's a raster program or a vector program. And her
Ah,
answer is I
Procreate
drew it in
again.
Procreate. There you go.
Good choice. Man,
Procreate is a
Procreate's so good.
Procreate's a raster program, right? It's
Correct.
yeah. It's a
But
raster.
it does have a couple of functions that let you like work with things in vector before you commit them to like, okay, now it's
Oh.
rasterized.
Oh, I
So you
see.
can like you can draw some shapes and put text in there and resize it
Sure.
and stuff, and it'll be in vector format until
Uh-huh.
you do something that it will then warn you and be like, hey, there's no going back from this. Like you're gonna turn this into a pixel layer or whatever it
Right.
is.
Right.
So
Uh,
yeah, I don't know, it's pretty cool.
Michael, I just realized you're probably seeing this at a very small scale.
That's fine.
Yeah, if you can look at the stream, the
Yeah.
stream actually it's nicer,
In
bigger
stream,
looking.
it's bigger.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for sending this. And I
Yeah.
asked her, like, whoa, this is the 1 out of 22 major arcana cards. Will you be drawing the rest?
All 77 others.
Well, no, not. She doesn't have to do all the 77. She could do the rest 21, because
Hmm.
the tarot cards comes in two, right? It's two suits. It's the two types. It's a major arcana and minor arcana. Major arcana
Mm.
is 22 cards. So usually people paint 22
Ah.
cards. So
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, like see if you could do 21 cards, yeah, and do the rest of the characters from Star Wars, like people like Babu Frik. Hey, I'm Babu Frik.
Hey!
Yeah, he's one of the few characters that I actually like from the new
Hey!
trilogy. Yeah, hey.
I
Um,
haven't even seen that movie, and I know all about Babu Frick.
oh, you haven't seen that yet?
No.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sad
From
to
what I
say,
gather, I'm not
yeah,
missing much.
you're not missing much. Again, the main villain, I don't want to spoil it. Who's ever, I mean, for example, you haven't seen
Oh,
it
I
yet.
already know all about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
watched so many videos of people tearing it apart because that was
Oh
pretty
gosh,
interesting.
I yeah. I don't want to dwell too much on it, but holy cow, can't you find another villain? Like really? You guys went back to him? But anyways,
Again? Back to the well
again,
again? Come
again.
on.
I know, man. Anyways, and the next image that she uploaded
Yeah.
later today was of her cat in
Cat?
a cat, but it's what's that? Merlin? Merlin is
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, right? And it
Yeah,
has
it's
like
almost got like a Sorcerer Mickey vibe too.
yeah, and it has like electricity too. So that's really cool. And again, question, it looks I think it's digital.
Yeah, this is probably Procreate again. I'm gonna
Yeah.
guess. That's gonna be my guess from now on. Whenever
Yeah.
Kolibud is doing something or has submitted a artwork, I'm gonna assume it's Procreate.
Yeah. And Coley Butt said and he's a wizard. Ooh, I know. He is a wizard. That's very
I'm
cool.
a what? You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah. He said she says it's digital. So that's cool. She also said I did Ahsoka as the star. Okay. So
Ooh.
the star is also another card. Obviously I showed you
Hmm.
the version of my star. So that's cool. So she has 2 out of 22 cards down. Yeah, she only has 20 left to do. So that is very cool. Captain Blue says I would imagine Yoda is the hermit. Ooh. And Obi-Wan is the magician.
Nice.
Not bad. Some ideas for you there, Coley, but to get you inspired to, do the rest of the 22 cards. If I make a pledge to you, if you do make those into 22 cards, I will be there to pledge and back you up if you do a Kickstarter to make those. That would be really, really cool. All right. But yes, thank you so much. This is really, really awesome. Um, please continue to keep drawing. That's the most important thing. And second most important is to show us so that we can be in awe and be inspired by this by your creation. Yeah, it's so cute. It's holding a wand with electricity. That's
Yeah,
so cool.
I love that the wand. It's the swirling energy almost makes it look like a lollipop too. So I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
ooh, I want to
Yeah.
eat that magical energy.
Yeah. It does look like a little lollipop. It's very cute. That's really cool. But yes, thank you so much, Cody. But
Yeah,
I
good
would love
job.
to see more from you for next time. For next time. Obviously when if and whenever you have time to draw, which keep drawing. And right here, wow, this is actually looking really good. Blue Blue.
Yeah.
This is looking
So is
really
that
good.
like rendered, like rumpling in the fabric? Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, what I believe and I
Or
think,
is
I'm
that
not
the
sure.
UV textured thing that's like
No.
magic?
Last time I was watching him in his stream, he was actually sculpting these folds. So he's
Wow.
basically taking a
Cool.
brush and then
Hmm.
just sculpting the folds in the pants. And it's
Is
looking pretty good right now.
yeah. Is this a ZBrush or is this Blender?
I want Blue Blue. I'm gonna speak for you. I think this is Blender.
Cool. Wow.
He says
So
this is a high
you can
poly
sculpt
sculpt.
high. Oh, neat.
Yeah,
So you can
meaning there's
sculpt
a lot of words.
things like a traditional sculptor with a block of clay can. You can
Yeah,
do that right in Blender.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Man,
yeah.
Blender's amazing.
Blender is awesome. As I mean, I have to convince Captain Blue Blue. As long as you get used to the interface, um, get used to the shortcuts and everything, much like
uh,
any other program, then you'll realize, the free power of Blender is so amazing.
mm,
Those people who have made this available to us, cheap people who don't have money to spend on thousands and thousands of dollars of programs,
sure.
it's such a useful program. And yeah, I encourage you, Captain Blue, to keep on going because this is looking really, really, really good. Captain
Yeah,
Blue says,
agreed.
Blender, and I am in pain every second. I know Blender is so amazing, and I hate it because I am trained in its rival Maya. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, interesting.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Because when I was I don't know if you know this, Michael. When we were still in Disney,
Hmm.
the program that we used for Buzz Lightyear was Maya. So in order to see
Mm,
things in 3D space, that's the program that I use. But obviously, when I left Disney, I don't have a license to use
sure.
any 3D programs, and I'm
Yep.
just like, well, let me go ahead and check online if there's a free version of, like a Maya or like a free 3D software. And lo and behold, at that time it was still like Blender 2.1 or something like that, 2.74 or whatever. And then later on it came 2.8, and that was the hype. And then now it's Blender 3.0. Now it's like 3.2 or something. I'm still stuck at 3.0 because, to be honest, I'm so scared of upgrading because
Yeah.
every time they upgrade, there's like a new things to learn. I'm just like, oh God, I don't want to learn new things. But I know that it's just getting more and more powerful each update. And yes, so yeah, Captain Blue, keep going. I know it's painful and shit, but it looks good. I think you're
Yeah,
doing a
you're doing
great
great,
job.
man.
Yeah, he's got the folds in there and everything, especially at the crease, by the back of the shin. Oh, but not shin, the calf muscles and whatnot. It looks really, really good. My question to you, Captain Blue Blue, are you going to do a retopo on this? Are you gonna retype type topologize?
Topography?
Retypography? Yes, I think you're right, Michael. Thank you. You
I'm
you
guessing. I don't know.
you being not the 3D modeler and I am, I don't even know the right term for it. I just know it's called the shorthand is a retopo. It's basically
Retopo. That's fun to
make
say.
making the high poly count and then just making it as less vertex as
Oh.
possible
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
that it is, more or less game ready. But
Sure.
it really depends. It really depends on what your use of it is, because you could actually throw this in a 3D printer right now and it'll print as is, which is
Cool.
very, very awesome. So yeah, I think this looks great, Captain Blue Blue.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and
Oh,
and the oh, go ahead.
Colibut says, "Hey guys, I'm about to head out to work and head home. Have a drink for me. I'll be
All
back with
right.
y'all Sunday, right?
Wait. Hold on, Coley Butt. Wait, hold on. Wait.
Got
There's
a
your
drink
drink.
for you as you're heading out the
There's your
door. Got
drink.
a road
Yes.
beer for you.
There you go. There's your the boba drink. I'm so
Oh
sorry, I forgot
yeah,
to give it to
boba.
you. Hopefully you're still here. Oh no. All right. I'm holding. Okay, good. Yeah. See that's your drink
Great.
right there. Hopefully you'll like it. All right. Go to work. Go to work. All right. Take
Thanks for
care.
being here, Colibut.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Boba. Yeah. See, I didn't forget about you. I didn't forget about you. Okay. All right. Sweet. All right. Going back. Uh, what were we talking about? Oh yes. The pants. Yeah,
Yep.
so good job, Captain Blue Blue. I really appreciate you sharing your progress with us. And did you stream this? I don't know if I caught your stream. Last time did not look this good. But you look like you definitely are getting the hang of this. So I would just say keep going, man. Keep going. Yeah, very cool. All right. So I am more or less kind of rushing through this mainly because it's almost 9 o'clock, and also Michael has trivia for us, right, Michael?
I do.
All right. Do you want to do it now, or do you want to do it next time?
Shh. No, no, no. We can do it now.
Okay, sweet. I just want to make sure you're good with it.
Oh yeah. I'm ready to go.
Ah.
I'm glad we're doing it because I've got another surprise for you.
Oh shit.
The rail shooter's not the only thing that got multiplayer this week. Let's see here. Bam. I
Oh,
added
cool.
code so that way up to 4 people can play this game.
Oh, sweet. All right.
Yeah.
I think we have 4. Me, Captain Blue Blue, Totoro. There's 3.
And that's fine too. If we don't have 4 people, I programmed in something kind of fun that we'll talk about in a second. But basically, we can either play 4 teams of people. So if we have more than 4 players,
I
we
see.
can just assign
Right.
groups to like teams. Like maybe it could be Chris versus Chad or something like that.
Ah.
But if we have 4 or less, then we can actually just have those players in the game. And I actually can put people's names in here. And I figured we would have Chris, Captain Blue Blue, and Totoro around. I wasn't sure if we would have Kolibut or somebody else. But if anybody else is in the chat and wants to take up player 4 slot, give a shout out now, and I'll add
Yeah.
you to the list.
Yeah,
If
don't
not,
be shy.
if not, we're gonna play. Player 4 slot's gonna be taken up by a fictitious player named Rando, who I've programmed to randomly guess answers.
Oh god,
To
he's gonna
add
he's
to
gonna
the
do better.
insults.
He's gonna do better than
Exactly.
me. Damn it! Shit.
Yeah, so that'll be
Ah.
that'll be a lot of fun.
Alright.
You're competing against random chance. Hopefully you do better.
Oh my god.
So basically, I just kind of shifted the traditional questions or the previous user interface to the right, added on the left-hand side. Up here in the top left, you're going to see the scoreboards. That's going to keep track of your points. Instead of doing the percentages, we're just going to do points. So in any question you get right, you get a point. Any question you get wrong, you don't get that point. And there'll be a little indicator here, a little circle will let you know you got it right, and a little X will let you know that you got it wrong. And down here, these are just the buttons for each player. So player 1, Chris, this will be you. When you pick what you want, I'll select it for you. And then when everybody's answers are in, we'll do show answer, and we'll see who got what.
Nice.
So I've got 5 new questions this week. They're movie-related trivia questions.
Nice.
And if we're ready to get started, we can do this.
Are you guys all ready? Type in ready if you're ready.
Oh, and I got rid of the timer too. Just because it wasn't. I don't think we need it. I don't think anybody here is holding us up, and it also allows. And I switched the button to show next. Basically, I added a button that allows me to show the answer and go to the next question. So if we want to sit for a second and talk about like, oh wow, that's really interesting, or oh man, I didn't get that. Where'd that come from? We can discuss it a little bit before moving on to the next one, or catch our breath.
Okay. Captain Lupo and Totoro is ready. We're all ready.
Let's do this.
Let's do
Here
this.
we go.
My God,
Good luck.
My only goal is to not get my ass
beat
kicked
Rando.
by Rando. Yeah.
And please forgive if there's any weird bugs in here that cause things to go wrong. I was trying to program this like in my spare time while doing all the other stuff, so there may be some weird things happening. But here we go.
Wait,
click play. And is my image? Am I blocking?
No, you're good. You're good.
No,
you're good.
Okay,
you're good.
Great.
Yep.
All right. Question number 1: Who was almost cast as Indiana Jones before Harrison Ford took the role? Was it A, Sean Connery, B, Kurt Russell, C, Michael Douglas, or D, Tom Selleck?
D, hands down, final answer.
All right, Chris is very confident about D.
I'm super confident.
All right, Captain Blue Blue, Totoro, what are you thinking? And I've programmed Rando not to answer until we show questions. So that way, if you want to copy Rando, we can't do that. All right, looks like Captain Blue Blue also thinks D.
You guys are following me.
Oh, and Totoro? Oh, wow, across the board.
Totoro.
Everybody thinks it's D. Well, let's hope you guys are right, because it'd be really embarrassing if you were wrong and Rando got it.
Oh,
Here we go. Show answer. Ding, ding, ding. Good job.
High five, you guys. High five.
You guys good with your Indiana Jones trivia. I'm impressed.
High five.
Oh yeah. Ah,
Oh,
okay.
Rando picked A. What a loser.
Yeah, what a bonehead.
What a loser.
All right, ready for the next question, folks?
Yeah. Let's do this.
All right. Which of the following animated films was not nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars? Was it A, Toy Story 3, B, Up, C, The Lion King, or D, Beauty and the Beast?
Oh, I don't know this.
Which one was not nominated for Best Picture? That means 3 of these were Best Picture nominations, and one of them is an imposter.
Oh,
Totoro
man.
says Sean Connery would have been good as his own dad. Yeah, I agree. Because Sean Connery gets cast as Indiana Jones' dad.
I know.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I know that a lot of animation pictures are always snubbed at the Oscars. I just don't know which one.
Captain Blue says B. Yeah, I was surprised because for a long time I thought there was only one that I knew of for sure that got nominated. In fact, it's like there are complaints among the animation community that it's kind of unfortunate that there's a best animated film category because then if
Yeah.
a movie gets nominated for that, then it usually doesn't get nominated for best picture because they're like, oh,
Yeah.
it already got nominated. Oh, Captain Blue
Not
is changing his mind. Want
not
A?
nominated. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm gonna go with D.
So Chris says D, Beauty and the Beast. Captain Blue says A, Toy Story 3.
It's either D or B.
What say ye, Totoro? Beauty and the Beast. I will go with the most antiquated culture. Okay. Oh wait, sorry.
No,
Beauty and
that's
the Beast
B.
is C.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So got everybody's answers correct there, I think. Chris, you said D, Beauty and the
Yeah.
Beast.
Yeah.
Totoro said Beauty and the Beast as well, and Captain Blue says A, Toy Story 3. Drum roll, here we go. The answer is surprising, and it's The Lion King.
Are you serious?
Yeah, isn't that
So,
shocking?
Lion King made a ton of money. I mean, well,
Yeah,
I guess that's money, but
and
still.
arguably, like, yeah, I mean, these are all really good movies, but arguably that one's like just one of the like absolute surefire bests on this list, and
Yeah.
it's the only one that was not nominated.
What the hell?
I know. And guess who got it right? Buddy
Oh, what the
Rando
hell?
coming
Damn
in.
it, Rando. Oh no, he's tied with us.
I love Rando.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was a tough one. So a good reasoning though. I liked everybody's thinking through that one, but yeah, that was a surprise to me too. If I had looked at this list, I would have thought for sure.
So
Of
Beauty and the
course,
Beast
Lion
was
King was nominated.
It was not Oh no. It was so Beauty and the Beast was nominated.
In fact, I think Beauty and the Beast was the first animated film to be nominated for Best Picture. For a long time, it was the only one. And then
Interesting.
Pixar started really hitting some home runs with Up and Toy Story
Sure.
3 and all that stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, Lion King I think Lion King was after Beauty and the Beast, but it was still in that period where the Academy was like, animated films shouldn't be nominated for Best Picture. That's weird. But Beauty and the Beast, I guess, was just so revolutionary that or so well loved that they just put it in there. So
Oh, good for them. Good for them.
all right, ready for the next question?
Damn it. All right, yes.
Hey, it's a 4-way tie. We're doing great. Like, this is a close game. All right. Hopefully this is an easy one if you've seen this movie, but if not, this could be hard. In which South American country does Disney's Encanto take place? Is it A, Argentina, B, Brazil, C, Colombia, or D, Peru?
Oh, I never seen this.
You should. It's so good. I love this movie. It's
I've heard great things.
Like Disney at its finest, I think. This is banging it out. Let's see what the chat says. Okay. Yep, Cap Blue, shocked that Lion King was on the list. It's also the best movie out of these. Yep, I totally agree. Captain Blue, Lion King was amazing. Totoro says, "Oh man, that was my first guess. Talk myself out of it." Yeah, I do that all the time. And Captain Blue says, "Beauty and the Beast got special note for showing an animation work in progress at the Oscar." Oh wow, I didn't know that. All right, so for this question, looks like Captain Blue says C, Colombia.
Colombia. Um,
What are you
I'm
thinking, Chris?
I'm gonna go with D again. I've been choosing D this whole game. D all around,
Why
straight
deviate
up.
from the strategy now?
Yeah, yeah. 1 out of 4. I think it's Peru. I think it's Peru.
And Totoro, what do you think,
I
good
don't know.
sir?
Oh man. Captain Blue, if you've seen this already, I don't want to cheat though. I don't know if he's seen this. If he's seen this and
Tell
he
me
has
the
it.
answer.
Ah,
Totoro says, "I'm betting Blue is right, as we are now united against Rando. I will go with Peru to cover more bases."
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so Totoro, you say Peru. You agree with Chris, going with
yeah.
D,
D.
right?
Yay.
All right, everybody good? Final answers? Ready to lock them in?
Final answer.
Drum roll. Brrr. And the answer is Colombia.
Oh, nice. Good job, Blue Blue.
Captain Blue coming through
Oh
and
man,
taking the lead
nice.
with 2 points. Good call.
Uh, he says I haven't seen it, but I've heard of its story. I hear it's a good
There you
movie.
go.
Yeah, yeah, I heard
Yeah,
it's a good movie too.
it's great.
Damn. Ah.
And I misspelled Argentina. I didn't even notice that. Look at that. Argentina. There's supposed to be an N right there after the E.
Oh, Argentina. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All good.
Next question. I think there's 2 more. Okay. What was James Cameron's occupation just prior to becoming a filmmaker?
Oh.
Was it A, lawyer, B, truck driver, C, oceanographer, or D, electrical engineer?
So
What was
I know his hobby is like going to diving, like because of the Titanic movie. I've seen that he likes to go ocean diving, so
Mhm.
it's an oceanographer. But for some odd reason, I feel that's like a trick answer.
Maybe.
Fuck it, I'm going to
Would
go.
I do that? Would I trick you, Chris?
I'm gonna go with D again. D. Keep going with
D.
D. Yeah.
Chris, locked in. D.
I'm D.
Totoro V. Sephiroth says B, truck driver. All right, Totoro is third player. Here we go. B. All right.
If it's a truck driver, I'm gonna like lose my shit.
Cat Blue wants to say A. Not too sure. I'll go ahead and tentatively put you at A. Give you a second here to change your mind. I'm going to take a drink of water, and then after that, we're going to reveal answers. So you have until then to
Captain Blue says
lock in.
he's
All
locking
right.
it at lawyer. Yep.
Confident with A. All right. Well,
Ah,
we've got basically the whole board here. So the only thing that's not guessed is the oceanographer. The one that I would have thought would have been like, yeah, like
you
you
can't
said,
trick
the
us.
Titanic.
You
Yeah,
can't
I
trick
guess
us.
not. Here we go. The answer is truck driver.
Are you fucking serious? What?
Yeah. He was a janitor and then a truck driver and was like writing screenplays on the side or like while he was at rest stops and then
What?
quit that job to like start making little independent movies and eventually got big. Isn't that crazy?
Are you serious? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, what an
Yeah.
inspiring story.
I know. Yeah, he just really loved movies and was so like inspired by them that he just did it in his spare time and then eventually, I mean, he was like poor enough that he was looking up information at like, the library or whatever in order to get
Yeah.
access to things. And yeah, he's got a really cool, and now, obviously with
Yeah.
2 of the top 5 highest grossing films of all time being his, like
Right.
he's got plenty of money now. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's got a cool story.
Wow, that reminds me of J.K. Rowling's story about how she was like,
Mm-hmm.
living in her car, just writing,
Yeah.
and now she's like a multi-billionaire with an amazing franchise and shit. It's these kind of stories are really humbling and it's very awe-inspiring. Granted, I mean, that's like I'm guessing it's like 1 in a million kind of stories, but it still exists. It's still very possible. It's like you know, you one day you're poor, living in your car, one day you're a truck driver, and all of a sudden you become a director and an amazing author. It's like, wow, dude, that's really
Yeah.
impressive. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's like a triumph of the human spirit, and also like inspiring for anybody to be like, wow, man, if that could happen to this person who, this nobody, working away quietly over here in the corner of the world can
Yeah,
suddenly be skyrocketed into the spotlight, like maybe I could too if I just
yeah,
stick to it and have a passion enough about a thing, like maybe it can happen. So
yeah.
yeah, I
That's
agree.
cool.
Very inspiring.
Yeah.
All right, we are coming into the final question here. You have to get this one right, and Rando has to get it wrong, Chris. Otherwise, you're tied.
Oh God, this is horrible.
Captain Blue Blue and Totoro are neck and neck.
All right.
So we'll see who's got it.
As long as a human wins, I'll be happy.
All right, here we go. Final question. What's Michael Keaton's real name?
What?
Is it A, Michael Douglas, B, Michael Kensington, C, John Keaton, or D, George Michael Keaton? What's Michael Keaton's real name?
Wait, Michael Keaton's Batman, right?
Yes, the original Batman. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I don't know why I blanked out.
All right. Totoro says A, Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas? Michael Douglas is Michael Douglas.
Yes, he is.
Wait, no. There's another actor named Michael Douglas, right?
Yeah. In fact, yeah, Disclosure, right? We talked about last time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, correction. Totoro says Adam West is the original Batman. That is correct. I'm sorry. I spoke out of turn.
All right, so they both went with A.
All right. Cat Blue Blue also says A. Cat Blue Blue player 2.
All right,
All right, Chris, we sticking with your tried and true strategy of going with
tried and
D,
true
or?
strategy. Go
All
D
right,
all
George
the
Michael
way.
Keaton.
Yeah, George
All
Michael
right.
Keaton.
Final chance to change your answer if anybody wants to pick something else real quick. And the mayor of Quahog, Massachusetts, that is correct as well. All right, here we go. Locked in.
Oh God,
The final answer is
just don't let Rando win.
it is
Oh,
Michael Douglas.
really? Wow, I had no
Yes.
idea. Okay, good. As long as Rando didn't beat me, then I'm happy. Yeah. Damn it.
Yeah, because it turns out like when you apply to become registered in the Screen Actors Guild, you have to pick a stage name that isn't already in use. And so there was already a
Oh.
Michael Douglas, and so
Oh.
yeah, his name is like Michael John Douglas, I think. And he picked. I think his story is that he like randomly picked Keaton out of a phone book or something, and so like, it's Michael Keaton. So that's not actually his real name,
Wow.
but he had to use it to get into the Screen Actors Guild. So that's his stage name.
Oh, that is interesting. I had no idea you needed a stage name and that it can't be the same.
I
Oh,
didn't know that
wow.
either until very recently. But apparently Captain Blue Blue and Totoro did, because both of them got it right.
Yeah. Captain Blue says my reasoning is that there was already a famous Michael Douglas, so he changed his name. Yeah, that's
Nailed
exactly.
it.
Nailed it. Wow, good job. Good job, man.
And there you go. And hopefully, if I program this correctly, we should see tie game on the next screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Captain Blue Blue and Totoro for getting
Yeah.
3 out of the 5 correct. That's pretty good.
Good job. Good job.
And good job to Chris for not letting Rando beat you. You didn't beat him,
Yeah.
but you also didn't get beaten. So
Yeah, suck it, Rando.
there you go.
Well,
But yeah,
that's a lot of
thanks for
fun,
playing,
man.
everybody.
That was cool.
Oh, and before I forget, do we want to stick with movies
Yes.
as the topic for next time? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I vote yes. So I mean,
okay.
what it depends on what the chat says too. It's I want to hear what they say as well.
60%. I love a good D. And Chris can compete with Random Chance. Good
Yeah,
job,
yeah.
okay, so if we do stick with movies, are these kind of questions good so far? Because like
These are
I
good.
feel like some of these are like like the Michael Keaton one. It's like, well, is that really about movies? Because he's like a movie actor.
No,
He's
no,
kind of like that's like a celebrity question. But
no.
as long
It's
as they're
I
like
think it's part of it.
related to movie stuff,
Yeah,
we're cool with it. Okay.
yeah. I think that's
And
great. And I'm
I'll
learning
keep
I'm
them on.
learning based of all these questions too. Like I had no idea the Screen Actors Guild required you to have a different name. So that's something to chew on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that was cool. That was cool.
Ah,
Thank you
well,
so much,
I,
Michael, for that.
you're
That was
welcome.
awesome.
I'm glad that worked. I was like tinkering with it all week and like got part of it programmed
Mm-hmm.
to work for multiplayer, but then other things were broken. And I was like, and I hadn't set up the Git repository for it yet. So all the stuff that I
Uh-huh.
broke, I didn't have like a way to recover the old version. So I was like racing against the clock to like, if I don't have this fixed, we can't go back and do single player.
Right,
We
right.
have to move forward to get multiplayer working, and
Yeah.
it looks like it worked. So
Yeah, no, good
cool.
job, man. Wow, you did a lot of stuff this week, man.
Yeah, I was
Props
busy.
to you, man. Holy
Thanks.
cow. Yeah. So thank you so much again, Michael. And for next time we meet, which is this upcoming Sunday, I will have stuff for you guys to show for Scene 5.
Yeah.
I'm still working. I'm still working. Still work in progress.
You got
Um,
time? Got a
yeah,
couple of days.
I have a couple of days, but I mean, the good news is that a lot of the work has been done already in Scene 5. So essentially, it's just me trying to come up with more stuff to fill that space and just make it look good, right?
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that's about it. Am I missing anything else? Are we missing anything else? Right. Make sure you guys follow us on our social. I always forget this part. Plugs, plugs. Make sure you check out my stuff. Chris, as well as Michael. Really quick update. My Kickstarter is still going on. So if you guys are interested in picking up a copy of my tarot cards, feel free to go to the provided website, the link, and go and check it out. Just thank you so much for your support and really, really appreciate it. And you can find me at twitch.tv at Lead Design Studio. Currently, I've been drawing a lot of fan art and just girls in general, and I'm kind of getting in a little bit of a stride. What's that word?
You're
Uh,
catching your stride,
Catching a
getting in a
stride. Yeah,
rhythm.
getting in a rhythm. Thank you so much. I'm so horrible at these phrases. Um, yeah, I'm basically doing like one sketch every other day, and I've been posting it on Twitch or not Twitch, Twitter, and just trying to get a little bit more visibility in this social media world, and I kind of want to be known as the guy who draws digital girls, right? I mean, a lot of people do that too, but I want to be known as one of them. So,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So you can find me there, and I stream uh randomly. I don't have a set schedule. I stream when I want to stream. So if you catch me, yeah. If not, then you could always check out my YouTube channel as well as my VODs on the channel as well. So yes. Okay, Michael, where can they find you, good sir?
If you want to support me now, I have a book out on Amazon, Blockbuster Blueprints, all about storytelling and how the big blockbuster stories work. So you can check that out. I also have plans to write more books in the future, but stay tuned for that. Obviously, I'm really busy with the rail shooter right now. I also have plans to do some streaming in the future, so stay tuned for that. You can subscribe to my Twitch channel in the meantime if you want, but I'm not actively streaming yet, at least not until we get this beta done in September.
Yeah.
Uh, don't expect anything from me until then. So in the meantime, the best place to find me is right here on the Creative Tavern every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, hanging out with you guys and doing a design session with Chris, making cool creative stuff and celebrating the creative process. So
Hmm.
love to have you.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much again for being here. I hope we both hope to see you here on this upcoming Sunday. All right. Cool. Until then, please take care of yourself, stay hydrated, and stay safe and healthy, you guys. All right. Bye, guys.